Mayor, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Oakland Park Mayor and Council for October 20th, 2011 to order at 8:03 p.m. Roll call, council members Cavani.
Here.
Castiglia.
Here.
Conboy.
Here.
Chowinski.
Here.
Work. Here. Monsino.
Here.
Mayor Mola.
Yeah.
We have one.
Gentlemen on the council, you just tap your microphone, make sure it's working. I was chastised by our people. Okay. Everyone, please stand for our friend, please.
Oh God, our Father, we ask you to bless our meeting with we trust in your fatherly care and protection. Please remove all selfishness and prejudice from our hearts and plant therein a keen sense of justice and a great love for you and our neighbor. Guide us in our deliberations so our decisions will always please you and bring peace and happiness to our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor, this statement of compliance.
Say that again, please. I'm sorry. Whereas chapter 231 of the Public Laws of the State of New Jersey requires the presence of the HAB stated by the presiding officer. It won't be advised the meeting requires that this meeting has been met by publishing an annual notice in the record of Hackensack. And Herald News of Woodland posting such notice in the office of the Borough Clerk as well as in the public place within the municipal building and by notifying interested citizens. Said notice was published and posted on January 1, 2011. And let me just tell you, this meeting is being videoed. You can see it on channel 77 on Tuesday, 12 noon, Thursday, 4 p.m., and Friday, 11 a.m. Tuesday, 12 noon, Thursday, 4 p.m., Friday, 11 a.m.
Mayor, this evening under the approval of minutes, we have the regular meeting of October 6, 2011, and the executive session of October 13, 2011.
Motion, please, for both. Move. Mr. Catalano, second. Second. Mr. Work, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Unanimous by one. Let me try it again. All in favor? Aye. No. Okay. Opposed? 0.
Mayor, this evening under ordinances, we have on second reading Resolution 292-11, introduce ordinance 11-14 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Oakland Park entitled multiple dwellings. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 6, 2011, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same, and therefore be resolved that the ordinance of the Borough of Oakland Park, that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Oakland Park entitled multiple dwellings pass on final reading. Mayor, will lead a motion to open to the public.
Before we do that, you give me a little synopsis of that to the public.
Mayor, this will alter the required number of units in any apartment complex within the borough to require a minimum of 150 units where security will need to be provided.
May I have a motion to open to the public?
So, second.
Mr. Chowinski, Mr. Castiglia, is all in favor, opposed, so would anyone in the public who wishes to be heard on this ordinance? Yes, sir.
George, my story, to save on court. What is this ordinance though?
Mr. Casmar, will you read it to Mr. Nestor?
Mr. Story, upon the recommendation of the police chief, we had established an ordinance in the borough some time ago that required multiple unit dwellings, apartment complexes essentially, that have more than 200 units would require security, overnight security, daytime security. That number is now going to be lowered to 150 units being the minimum that would require such security.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I'll close the public portion of the meeting. May I have a motion, please, on the ordinance? Mr. Castiglia, seconded by Mr. Monsino. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
On roll call, council members Cavani.
Yes.
Castiglia.
Yes.
Conboy.
Yes.
Chowinski.
Yes.
Work. Yes. Monsino.
Yes.
Motion passed. Resolution 293-11, introduced ordinance 11-15 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Menlo Park entitled Licensing and Business Regulations. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 6, 2011, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. Whereas all persons interested in said ordinance were given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Menlo Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Menlo Park entitled Licensing and Business Regulations pass on final reading. Mayor will need a motion to open to the public.
Motion, please. Mr. Bonsino, second.
Second.
Mr. Conway, any discussion? All in favor, call the order. Mr. Cashmore, will you give us a synopsis?
Mayor, this simply adjusts the raffle license fees so that they are in line with what is required with the state of New Jersey.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this ordinance? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and have a motion on the ordinance, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conway.
Second.
Second. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilmembers Catamani?
Yes.
Castiglione?
Yes.
Conway?
Yes.
Kowinski?
Yes.
Work? Yes. Fontaine? Motion carries. Resolution 294-11, introduced ordinance 11-16 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Menlo Park entitled Administration. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 6, 2011, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance will be given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Menlo Park that an ordinance entitled an ordinance to amend the Code of the Borough of Menlo Park entitled Administration passed on final reading.
Motion to open to the public, please. So moved. Mr. Kowinski, second.
Second.
Mr. Catamani, discussion, all in favor, call the order. Mr. Cashmore, again, please.
Mayor, this ordinance will add a $25 tow fee to all tows that the police department calls out the municipal towers to remove vehicles from public roadways. That will fall in line with neighboring municipalities and their tow fee scale.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this? Ms. Story.
Would this also apply when somebody's towed being, snow, and they're in a snow area, and we have to plow?
Yes, it would apply to all tows that the police department call out to municipal. We have 7 municipal towers. Anytime they're called out and they tow a vehicle, this administrative charge.
Because on the cul-de-sacs, we have a major problem for plowing. You're familiar with that, man. And sometimes some people don't move their cars, and it's very important that they know that they have to move their cars. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Close the public portion and have a motion. Mr. Word. Second. Mr. Bonsino, discussion. Call the roll, please.
On roll call, Councilmembers Catamani? Yes. Castiglione?
Yes.
Conway?
Yes.
Kowinski? Yes. Work? Yes. Monsino?
Yes.
Motion carries. Resolution 295-11, whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various water main projects for the water utility of the Borough of Menlo Park in the amount of $340,000. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 6, 2011, and further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up in this meeting. And whereas all persons interested in said ordinance are given the opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Menlo Park that an ordinance entitled a bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various water main projects for the water utility of the Borough of Menlo Park in the amount of $340,000 passed on final reading.
Motion to open to the public. Bonsino, second. Mr. Castiglione, discussion. All in favor? Opposed, Mr. Cashmore, could you give us a synopsis, please?
Mayor, this ordinance will, on the advice.
Can I talk about that ordinance?
Wait a minute, let us give you the information.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm jumping the gun.
You are.
I'm anxious.
At the last public meeting, council will recollect that we went through all the improvements to the water system that were proposed under this ordinance, which were recommended by the superintendent of the Department of Public Works and the borough engineer. There are some areas of our water system that are in need of improvement due to the age of the lines, and this will replace some of the trouble areas that we have.
Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Mr. Bishop?
I'm sorry I disrupted the
Microphone.
for crying out loud. You can't hear me. I'm sorry I disrupted you a minute ago, but I haven't been here in a while.
Welcome back, Bill.
I see that $340,000, what are you gonna do?
A variety of different things related to the water department.
Well, that's well and good. What does that mean?
Can you give us some?
Mr. Schwinn, I don't have the actual outline of the exact areas that is being presented. As always, you know that if you want to come to my office, I'll be glad to provide it with you. But what this will do is there are areas where we have aged pipes in the ground relative to the water system. We have one area which will be in the next ordinance under the sewer main, where we have an L-type elbow line. We've had some clogs there, so that's the area. Those are the areas that we're going to address. They've been identified by the borough engineer and by the DPW superintendent, and these are the recommendations that they're making for both the water system in this particular ordinance and the sewer system, which will be read next.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yes.
Bill, one more. Just Bill, just look 1 second. There's another section of town where there's another section of town where, for example, where we keep replacing the old main. Every time we fix one spot, 10 feet down, it breaks again. It's a whole ductile iron pipe, so there's that whole section of 200 feet has to be replaced. There's other ones like that too, which will save us in the long run because every time you go out on an emergency call, we're getting killed.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard?
I just came in, I missed the first part of this, but it's spending this much money on the water system, this is not the sewer system, but the water system?
It's the both.
So why don't we sell the whole thing to Passaic Valley Water Commission, and we can save thousands and thousands of dollars, and could, as time goes on, the system is going to get older and older, and it's going to cost us more and more.
We've been trying.
So give it to them for nothing. Let them make the repairs.
I don't know if they want it. They like selling us the water and we fix it. They like selling the water to us and we fixing the,
Whatever. I mean, it's just, it's getting older and older. It's costing more and more.
No, I mean, we looked into this a couple of years back from United Water.
I remember, yes.
They came to a negative number the first time, they didn't want to pay for it. Meanwhile, if you look at some of the towns like Lodi that's trying to get the lines back, because what happens, as we get in line with all these towns, the more antiquated ones that have to be fixed, you're going to pay a higher price on your bill because it's like insurance, it's spread to everybody.
Okay.
It wasn't worth it, believe me.
Rick, Mayor, I just, 365, this astronomical number just hit me,
It's only 350,000, it's not
Yeah.
millions.
It hit me, and I was just wondering that it's only going to get older, so anyway,
We looked into
I assume you gentlemen will do the correct thing. Thank you.
We hope.
Mayor,
We looked into that. Anyone else who wants to be heard?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
just for clarification purposes, while this is structured as a bond ordinance, we will not incur any additional debt based on this ordinance. This will be paid through the water utility. So based on this ordinance, the borough will not incur any additional debt.
Just one question. How many feet are we replacing?
Roughly. Oh, I don't know total, but all the different projects, there's a whole list of them. But we can supply you with it if you want to see it.
Yeah, you're talking hundreds of
Oh, yeah.
thousands of feet, maybe?
It's, I don't know thousands, but there's hundreds, some are thousands, the 24-inch gate out goes. You gotta put it in, stuff like that. But the one line that they are replacing has been numerous breaks. In the middle of the night, we have to call pier guys out to do it.
Now, when we replace these, does that create an additional amount of pressure that might break other lines that are old?
No, we're the same size lines.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, I'll close the public portion of the meeting. May I have a motion on this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Mr. Conroy, second. Mr. Castrici, any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Stefani?
Yes.
Castiglione?
Yes.
Conwood?
Yes.
Lewinsky?
Yes.
DeWart? Yes. Monteith? Motion carries. Resolution 296-11, introduce ordinance 11-18 on second reading. Whereas public notice has been given by the Borough Clerk that an ordinance entitled Bond Ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of the new information technology equipment in the Borough of Elmwood Park in the amount of $365,000. And whereas said ordinance was introduced and passed at a meeting held on Thursday, October 6, 2011, and that further consideration of this ordinance will be taken up at this meeting. Now, whereas all persons interested in said ordinance will be given the opportunity to be heard concerning same. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Monmouth Park that an ordinance entitled bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new information technology equipment in the Borough of Monmouth Park in the amount of $365,000 passed on final reading.
Motion open to the public. Mr. Dolcino, second.
Second.
Mr. Castillo. Mr. Casimo, can you give us a synopsis?
Mayor, this is to make improvements to the sewer system in the municipality. Again, in concert with the previous ordinance that we just introduced, this will make various sewer system improvements that have been recommended by the Department of Public Works Superintendent and the Borough Engineer. In addition to that, our servers here in the municipality, from an IT perspective, exceed 10 years of age, and we have had some issues with the servers failing. We went out and solicited proposals from various companies to provide the service to the municipality. We did come in with a low quote, and it'll be awarded. It's already been awarded to Aton Computing through the qualified purchasing agent, and they will come in and replace our servers. They will replace some wiring that is somewhat antiquated in the building, along with the rec department and the Department of Public Works.
Anyone in the audience wish to be heard? Yes, sir.
On the sewer system, what do you plan on doing with the sewer system? Replacing pipes?
Yes.
You know how many yards or how many, the distance?
I don't have that with me. I
Is it-
apologize.
Would it be considerable?
It is the exact same areas, with the exception of one area that will be replacing with the water lines. So they'll be in concert with one another, because the engineer's position was, we don't want to open up the road twice in case we have to do other repairs. So they've identified areas in the sewer and the water lines that need to be replaced, and we'll do them both at once.
I'd like to know this, you know,
The square feet, if you call me tomorrow, I have a memo
Okay.
that's in the file.
Did they use the camera when they went through there to find out what had to be done?
Yes.
Okay, and that was free of charge? That was from the county, right? County supplied that,
I believe it was through the engineer, actually.
or through the engineer, because the county, I know at one time, not too long ago, was offering that free of charge.
Okay.
Does this include any pumps?
Yes.
Okay.
It
Thank you.
it includes upgrades to one pump station.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Close the public portion, may I have a motion?
Second.
I'm sorry, Mr. Trumancy, second. Mr. Work? Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmember Scarpani?
Yes.
Castiglione?
Yes.
Conley?
Yes.
Zelinski?
Yes.
Work? Yes. Wonstein?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mayor, this evening under the resolutions, on the consent agenda, we have Resolution 297-11, payment of bills, Resolution 298-11, confirmation of checks, Resolution 299-11, confirmation of payroll, Resolution 311, approved curfew for Mischief Night and Halloween, Resolution 301-11, authorize refund for overpayment of tax due to appeal of New Jersey Tax Court, ZAP and Tenenbaum, Resolution 302-11, relieve third-party tax lien to U.S. Bank Trust Saxony D. Resolution Playhouse, Resolution 203-11, refund Playhouse trip from the recreation account in the amount of $70. Resolution 304-11, appoint acting foreman in the Department of Public Works, John Stankiewicz and Brian Thornton. Resolution 305-11, appoint volunteer firefighter Kyle Ferrera. Resolution 306-11, appoint junior volunteer firefighter Alex Nepolowski. Resolution 307-11, appoint junior firefighter Casper Cole. Resolution 308-11, refund engineering escrow money to Chet Patel. And Resolution 309-11, authorize open space trust fund contract with the County of Bergen for English Avenue Parks improvements, and that's for the 2010 grant application.
May I have a motion, please? Mr. Bolsino, second?
Second.
Mr. Trumancy. Any discussion? Call the roll.
On roll call, Councilmembers Scarpani?
Yes.
Castelli?
Yes.
Conboy?
Yes.
Zelinski? Yes. Work? Yes. Wonstein?
Yes.
Mayor, under applications this evening, we have the Gilbert Avenue Women's School Association, 50/50.
Motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Conboy, second.
Second.
Mr. Bolsino, any discussion? All in favor, opposed, so voted.
And Mayor, this evening, under departmental reports, we have the
center on the Jackson Drive.
Just a room, not the whole center.
See?
So not-
The senior center, see, because it's not also the senior center.
The room.
Most of it is what do you call it, the athletic events that take place. The senior center, so, and just want to say thank you. Also, I intend to have a small celebration, which should take place just before Christmas, because I understand March is going away, and she will be back December 5th. So, if you guys, have any ideas to help us out, I think it should be nice. And I exactly deserve that because we served the town for 18 years, and I think we should get recognized for all the work he did. He taxi officers and taking them to doctors, help them with income tax, and personally, this should not be forgotten by all of us. And the mayor also, when you leave the office, I won't forget you. We'll do something for you too. Okay? Thank you. Also, the other concern is about, I mentioned the trees in this town. And there's a place I mentioned, Fountain, big trees on the entire sidewalk. And one thing says conform. When we asked the owner to take care of the problem, many of them don't have any money. It's, maybe in the near future, we should have something, perhaps the DPW should be able to help with this, because it's become very dangerous. So I need you to help with this. People pay tax, we already pay a lot of tax, and ask them to remove the trees. So I asked someone to trim the tree in my backyard because they belong to me, and she said the price.
Yes.
So she talked about it. And the answer, there's some concern about the sewer back up. People talk to me almost every day, and I think we are achieving something. I don't know what else.
Thank you, Mr. Chouinski.
Thank you, Mayor. That's exactly why we're doing some of those sewer projects, right? Especially the pump station. Okay, it's still Breast Cancer Awareness Month this month, as you all know. Another note, I've got the JIF Joint Insurance Fund. They've been on this month a lot more workers' comp claims than others, mostly DPW employees in all the towns. The JIF Insurance Company now, our premium did increase about 6%, but they're talking next year, instead of taking towns that are accident conscious, that do these seminars and keep the people up to speed on safety measures, the ones that do good are going to be rewarded, while naturally the other ones are going to pay a higher percentage over the premium rate to compensate for it. This will help us because of we only know 6%. If you look at some of these statistics, some of these guys are 24%, 25% in some of these towns. So when they put it all together, they figure the rate that they used to divide it up amongst the towns. But it's getting out of control, they said, so now they're going to start doing individual towns based on their accidents and their increase over their premium. So I'm going to leave the different reports if anybody would like to see them, or if you'd like to see any of this stuff, I think this will with the clerk. And I want to note the school's going to have their bonfire at 7:30. Was that the 27th, right? 27th of October, I think it is. That was that came up at the fire department. And whole squad at the party. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Castelli.
Yes, ma'am. For the planning board, one of the main applications that I was happy to see was the Elmwood Cooperative Apartments came in, put in some extra parking on their site. They were approved at the last meeting. They will be adding 24 more off-street parking spots on their site, making their parking lot larger than 59 cars now. So as far as Elmwood Terrace is concerned, that should take a couple of cars off the street, make the parking a little bit better on that street. DPW and roads, the repaving program should be starting on Tuesday. So you see the trucks out working. They did a lot of curbs in town already and handicap ramps, and now they'll be actually repaving the roads. The improvements of the Van Riper culvert is about half done. I was talking to Scott today, he said I should take it right down. It's really a big project, and it's coming along nicely. That'll be the last one that we have to rebuild in town. For the people that have been asking about what's going on over on Mullen Drive, that's public service. They ripped up the sidewalk over there, they put a gas line in under the sidewalk, so they don't disturb our new paving job on Mullen Drive. They put the gas lines in under the sidewalk. They go down East 54th Street to Main, they service one of their customers on the main, they needed higher gas pressure, so they actually had to put an extra line through this one complex. So that's what that is that's going on over there. And I have two reminders from the recycling. Old appliances like washers and dryers, you got to call the mayor's office, that's the recycling office. Go to Pat Burke, she'll set up an appointment for somebody to come out and pick up your washer, dryer, refrigerator. It has to go that way. As far as a couch or a mattress or anything, you put that on Wednesday night or Thursday pickup. But they're asking please one piece at a time, don't be a whole living room set up, just maybe one couch a week, so they can handle it. One other thing. The leaf vacuums will be out starting Monday. So you can dump your grass clippings right with the leaves in the street, they'll suck it up with the vacuums. The only thing is no branches, no twigs, because they tend to jam up the machine, and if they see twigs in the piles, they're going to be leaving. That's it, Dave.
Thank you. That the culvert I have on my report.
Okay. Well, you have more detail.
Okay, Mr. Word? Thank you, Mayor. Yingling Park Health Forum will be
Speaking to the
offering.
microphone, I'm getting sick.
Oh, Yingling Park Health Forum will be continuing to offer a free adult consultation and child health clinics to the residents of Elmwood Park. The next adult consultation clinic will be held on November 15th, this is Tuesday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. at the private clinic room in the municipal building. The next child health clinics will be held on November 3rd, which is Thursday morning from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. and November 7th, Monday evening from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And the child health clinics are by appointment only, so you will need to call the Elmwood Park Board of Health, which you can reach at 201-796-1457, extension 604. The Elmwood Park Health Forum continues to offer the free vaccines. They still only have 2 available, which are the Menactra and the T-Pack. So if you want to pick those up for free, you can pick them up at the next adult consultation clinic on November 15th. They will also be holding the next seasonal flu clinic, which will be held on November 1st from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. at the Elmwood Park Municipal Building. Flu shots are going for $25 or free with proof of Medicare B coverage. And the free tetanus shots are also available on these days. The Elmwood Park Board also will be holding the CMAC blood testing clinic on November 1st from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for all residents. Pre-registration in person is required, and that's for a fee of $30. As everybody knows, Elmwood Park is sharing our health department, or health officer with Saddlebrook. Basically, that started October 1st, and that health savings will be an extra $50,000 with those shared service agreements, along with the health officer taking on additional responsibilities with the health inspections. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. The Elmwood Park Hall of Fame will be holding its annual Hall of Fame dinner on Wednesday, October 26th at the Brownstone in Patterson, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. Just give you a highlight. The new 5 new members that are being inducted are Chris Calafori for wrestling and football, Frank Catalano for wrestling, Ronald Scheiko for track and football and coaching, John J. Stack for coaching, and Alfred Vinci for contributing to Elmwood Park sports programs and to the Hall of Fame committee. The Elmwood Park Homeowners Association will be holding a Meet the Candidates Night next Wednesday, which is also October 26th at 7:30 in the municipal room in Elmwood Park Municipal Building. So if any residents would like to come down and meet the candidates, it'll be held at the next homeowners meeting. Next subject I want to touch on is involving, referendum and Board of Ed taking over sports programs in the town. And I have a tough time discussing this because I am involved in sports. I'm also involved with the bomb program, which has been taken over by the high school program. But, anybody in town would love to see a new football field and new stand and everything, but as a councilman
I have responsibility and concerns for the Elmwood Park residents. There's taxes that are involved, and it could put enough unnecessary strain on a lot of residents. We are in a recession. We have a 9.4 unemployment rate, and we have foreclosures going on all throughout New Jersey and Elmwood Park, and you even have people just leaving their homes. And we have to think about the whole, everybody involved in this program. Basically, I did attend a Board of Education meeting last night, and just had a few comments regarding it. And my concerns mirror the parents that came up with the Board of Education meeting. And they're afraid that this referendum may not pass because you're adding on a new football field, new concession stands, baseball fields, and their main concern about the referendum getting passed is taking care of the schools. We have schools that are in such disrepair and deteriorating, and you need to address those issues because you got to keep those kids in the schools to get an education, and that's the responsibility of the Board of Ed to get an education. And and they're really scared about it. It's adding those costs to a referendum that they need to get passed. Will it reduce their chances of passing? The answer is yes. A lot of people don't need to see the football field. I would, some other people, but a lot of people won't. So they have to, and that's a major concern for these parents. What happens with these schools? What happens to the 3 schools requiring blue roofs, windows, if the referendum fails? Now, the Board of Ed said there's a Plan B. I don't have any information about the Plan B, but they did say that we're going to have 3 more meetings. Tell all the residents of town, attend these meetings, find out what the issues are, find out what the cost, if you have questions, raise them at these meetings. You may persuade one way or the other, but there's supposed to be 3 more meetings, so go to these meetings. It's important. It's involving your taxes, it's involving your town. So you should really address that. Also, just to give you an example of the referendum, it includes spending roughly $1 million on Gilbert School, get the roof and windows done, $1 million on Gantner School, get the windows and roof done, another $1 million on, I believe, 60 dads, get the roof done, and then we're spending $1.3 million for lights for football field. Doesn't make sense. We need to get those buildings repaired so these kids can attend school in our town and not have to ship them out to another town where if one of these buildings becomes so deteriorated, they get done. Just to give you the vote for referendum, and I'm sure people have seen it in the paper, it's December 13th, and like I said, the Board of Education is planning to hold 3 more meetings to go over referendum, Plan B if it fails. I once again ask all to attend these meetings so they can find out the details and they can make an educated decision on that referendum. Also, the Elmwood Park Board of Education approved the affiliation of the Elmwood Park Junior Baseball League. Another sports program that they're taking over in town. Now, the affiliation with EPJBL is only to assist the league with additional fields, availability rooms in school that they can use without being charged for, or to help them with their insurance. I'm not sure what the details were, so I'll leave it at that. But the reason the Board of Ed gave was that the EPJBL approached them and asked for assistance. So, I can't blame Board of Ed. So, but their reason for going over is they said they didn't have enough field time from the Board of Recreation. I'm in the closing league, I'm sorry, I'm president of the Elmwood Park Little League. I can tell you how many times fields were empty on those dates, on certain dates where it was allocated to Elmwood Park Junior Baseball League, they were empty. 5 Saturdays in a row. The Auburn Avenue 1 field was empty from 9 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock at night. My coaches complained. I told a bunch of my coaches, listen, there's no one here going to the field. If they show up, you gotta leave. They have a permit for it. But to make an allegation that they don't have field time is ridiculous. If they need to be in, as the Board of Ed memo said, they're going to enhance programs. We also tried to get in touch with EPJBL. As you know, for the last 8 years, there's been 2 baseball leagues in town. We wanted to meet up with them. We wanted to go over, let's see if we can work these out and make it one league again. Let's get everybody together. We got to start getting this town together because it's getting to the point of being ridiculous. We sent them 3 emails, no response. And now we find out I have to go to Elmwood Park I don't know if they have financial problems, I shouldn't say that, but we're doing very well. Elmwood Park League's doing well. I don't know why you don't want to combine these leagues. I have a lot of coaches that are volunteers in the league. I'm very friendly with them. I coach them in that other sports in town, and I'm just confused. Why would you go to the Board of Ed when you have another viable sports program that's doing very well? We get new equipment every year. Our coaches are trained, certified, just as our junior baseball coaches are. But not even to address, not even to answer, which I find very confusing. You're trying to get this town together. You're trying to get all these kids. These kids are all friends, they play in different leagues. Doesn't make sense. And, you know, if they need, they maybe develop communication skills. Now, if they're having financial issues also, I also belong to the Elmwood Park Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame not only nominates new people to the Elmwood Park Hall of Fame every year, also awards grants to organizations in this town. Would you believe that every sent a request or submit to get a grant from the Elmwood Park Hall of Fame? And I know in the past they have received them. They range from $200 to $500. Why wouldn't you want to submit a proposal to get a grant? So that's basically what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mayor. Good report, Councilman. I had a couple questions for you, but I don't know. I can you top that one, as you can hear, anybody who knows Keith's work, you can definitely hear he talks from the heart when he talks about the sports programs in these towns. I'm going to talk about recreation at the moment. As we continue to struggle ourselves with the trying to keep up with the, I guess the best way to put it is keeping up with the Joneses, which usually just means doing some landscaping in front of your house or the cars that are in the driveways. In this case, it's, I remember reading somewhere that somebody had said that I hope our school administration can continue working their magic. I haven't seen any magic. What I have seen is Monty Hall, let's make a deal. So they're out there offering all these sports programs. Come on over and we'll make you a deal. It's very upsetting. At the recreation meeting this past Tuesday, we took aggressive steps too. If the BOE thinks we're going to lay down, we're not going to lay down. The recreation is going to come back just as strong as it always has been. Many of the great athletes that are inducted into the Hall of Fame started through a recreation program. So I will be discussing further with the mayor and council, but the Recreation Committee voted unanimously we're going to keep moving forward wrestling. We are out currently right now speaking to some of our ex-Hall of Famers that are upset that the wrestling program has jumped over, and now they're talking to their sons and their fathers and their grandfathers. Thank God they're still here. Some of the great men that are hanging on the wall at the Recreation Center for their great years of Hall of Fame wrestling.
Excuse me, you mean pictures on the wall?
No, they're not dead yet. I'm sorry, I take that out. Sorry, man. As everybody knows, I get emotional as well too when it comes to this topic. Because this doesn't just not have to continue to happen. At the Recreation Center, there's a beautiful blue banner. It's blue and white, and it's got a lot of great names. A lot of Hall of Famers, state Hall of Famers, and I know some of them voiced their concerns Tuesday night at the rec meeting. So just like the Board of Education, talk about tax dollars, use of taxpayers' money. That's not their money. That's our money. So our wrestling program is going to be free. We're going to offer it free. We're actually going to even offer, I'll save people from coming up to ask questions, we're going to offer a stipend as well. We have to come up with incentives. We have to make simple. Let's make a deal. Because we have to make sure that we're not going to let our programs fly over and go. So, we tried, I understand the two leagues, which I thought was a home run, try to have one baseball league. Now we're going to have two wrestling leagues. I don't know what will happen with the children. I hope it would have been nice if this could have been resolved, or at least been part of the discussion. That meeting apparently took place, back in the spring. And I guess unless you keep up to date on the Board of Education website, that's how you find that stuff. I'm here to announce, very proudly to announce, we're going to continue having wrestling at the Recreation Center. We're pushing forward. We'll be announcing hopefully the name of a coach shortly, where the Recreation is securing things, folks. Free singlets, free warm-ups, We have a bus now, so we'll be offering to take the kids to the matches. We're going to buy some new mats, we're securing additional practice space. We've spoken with the league. The Elmwood Park Recreation has been part of the Twin County Wrestling League for over, I believe, 25 years. We've let the league know that we continue to maintain, we want to maintain that membership. It's our membership, not the Board of Education's membership, and we will continue to move forward. Hopefully, that's all going to happen. So we'll be discussing with the mayor and council as well as the rec commission about more things at the recreation, which will be changing in the way it's done. Which this is totally upset the whole apple cart, folks. It's not about poor service or this or that. Obviously, you see all the great athletes that have come out. I mean, tomorrow night you can catch Gary Nova on, I believe, ESPN, and the following game, I believe, is on Channel 7 on national time. A great member of the Bomber program. But all these great other wrestlers and everybody else we've had, and baseball players that go on, and everything else, soccer players, track players. That all came through, great sports that were down here at these areas. So we're going to, like all the other towns. It's so funny, I've talked with a bunch of other folks from different towns. We charge. We charge, our kids pay, our this and that. I go, well, come on over to Elmwood Park, because now you can be free. And I actually have a question on that. Councilman, I know you were at the meeting. I understand the Board of Education is going to pay for their insurance.
I guess they did mention that they would try to help them.
Was it mentioned that they would also cover out-of-towners?
That wasn't covered, no.
So out-of-towners won't be covered?
I didn't hear what they just said. They would try to help with their insurance, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you, that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. Mr. Blonsey?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have just a couple of updates. First is relative to the high school and the traffic situation on Gilbert Avenue. And if you recall, in the spring, we looked at, we originally requested to make it a one-way. We looked at the traffic conditions and we decided to go forward with limiting turns onto River Drive and limiting turns from River Drive onto Gilbert in both directions. And in the summer, we passed an ordinance here in town to move forward with those restrictions on turns during certain hours. And I want to thank Captain Diddick down in our police department for giving me an update. That information went to the county and he was in contact with their traffic division. They have all the information they need and we should be hearing in the next 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to getting approval from the county so we can go forward with the updated signs there at the high school. I think that made a very significant improvement in the situation there. The other update I had was relative to some analysis I presented last public meeting on our charges relative to the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission. And as I mentioned, a resident stated at a previous public meeting that Elmwood Park spends greater than $19 million since 2006 on sewer charges, and postulated that due to the poor condition of the sewers, increased water infiltration and thereby translated to increased cost to the borough. Proposed that he consider an inspection repair program. We've estimated that we could reduce costs by as much as 25%. I did take an action to look at those charges. I did plot them out, and I showed these last week at the meeting. And what I found when I plotted it out, I did some research. That was the total charges, including sewer charges from Markel. How I determined that, and actually plotted out, you see that there was a dip in 2009 in the charges, and that was during a period where Markel was in bankruptcy, and those charges couldn't flow through the borough. They had to be paid directly by the holding company. So when you subtract out the Markel usage, we were only, our charges were on the order of $1.3 million a year, or a third of what the resident had estimated. So over a period in question, 2006 to present, Elmwood Park paid on the order of $8 million, not $20 million. And one of the updates, again, I went through the costs that were associated with our sewage charges, and what I was surprised to find, as I mentioned last time, was our charges are broken down. Essentially 15% of the cost is the volume, or gallons, of sewage, and the other 85% is based on how contaminated the water is. So a very small percentage of the sewer charge is actually volume. And if you kind of go through the numbers, and what I didn't have last month, I didn't have the actual volume. I went and updated with the volume, and from from 2008 through present, the actual volume went down like 10%. So it's not increasing, and it's not correlated to rainfall. So I think the infiltration, while it may be an issue, I think is probably, as Councilman Truinsky talked about last meeting, more due to some pumps going back into the sewer system as opposed to infiltration. Now, we do recognize certain specific issues with sewer, and we're addressing those as our engineer recommends. So the reality is probably, given the cost breakdown, a savings would be under 2%, not 25%. And so it's very enlightening going through some of those numbers. So that's that. Another update again on Elmwood Park Volunteer Ambulance Corps having a haunted house. That'll be Sunday, October 30th, and Monday, October 31st, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Ambulance Corps building, 36 Falmouth Ave. And just one final point, Councilman Work talked about the referendum. And speaking with residents in town, a number of residents aren't really aware of what's going on at the Board of Education and the referendum. I just encourage them to become informed, make informed decisions. It's a lot of money that's being talked about. My take, all three of my kids were involved in sports, to a very competitive level. In fact, one's playing in college right now. But in my 3 years on council, the amount of time we've spent discussing sports is, in relation to our Board of Education, as opposed to education, is astonishing. If we would have spent a fraction of that time on education and academics, it would make complete sense to me. And some of these discussions that kind of translate over to sports would make more sense. Everything that comes out of the Board of Education, at least to the mayor and council, revolves around sports. And what sports programs they have and what kind of sports they want to have. Sports are great. Sports make you a well-rounded person. In my house, if we didn't get A's and B's on that report card, sports would stop in a heartbeat. And I think parents need to recognize that and make those decisions when they come out of that referendum in December.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. No report. For my report, first of all, I would like to congratulate St. Leo's School. Last night I attended their first Junior National Honor Society for the 7th and 8th graders at St. Leo's. So they are to be commended for instituting that program at their school, the Junior National Honor Society. Secondly, we have a commitment from the county, Bergen County, to pave Market Street. We've had some problems with getting some variances, some easements, excuse me. But that's still on the program, so you will be seeing Market Street paved right through Elmwood Park, complete distance through Elmwood Park, and that will be done by Bergen County. We did receive a letter from the Bergen County Parks Department, which indicated that they're going to give us $90,000, not us, but they're going to spend $90,000 to clean up the Waterworks property. That's the Garfield Waterworks property off the boulevard. And try to clean up the trees that fell down during the various storms and so forth. And then they're going to put an application on open space, which I'm sure they'll get, to put a walking path through the Waterworks property for $325,000. So by the continued work of this council going to the various meetings last year and this year to the freeholder meetings, that's a total of $415,000 to improve the Waterworks property. And I'm sure they're going to continue to do that because it's an excellent, it's probably the biggest piece of property, 43 acres of land in this southern section of Bergen County. So we will have the best natural park in the area. I think Mr. Truinsky mentioned something, or was it Mr. Castiglia about Kidney? Was that you?
I mentioned that.
Okay. In relation to the Van Nuys culvert, that is $750,000.
and we are completing, that will be the last culvert. The culvert's just a little bridge, it's not a big bridge, a little bridge going over the road so that Flasher Brook can go under it. That's roughly $750,000. It's the last one we have to do. That's all paid for by Bergen County. Over the years, they paid for that. And this year, we're applying to the community development in the county to get money to widen the southern section of the Kip Avenue culvert so that we can get greater flow through the Flasher Brook area. What happens now is we have a culvert between Martha and Kip Avenue, but when it leaves the southern portion of Kip Avenue, the brook narrows. So we're going to try to widen that and go down a couple hundred feet into Garfield's property, and then next year we'll try to work with Garfield, getting community development money to widen that. That will improve the flow of Flasher Brook, and that will improve all the way up through the entire length of Elmwood Park, not the Rosemont section, but up to about the English Avenue Park. That's important. And Garfield, I believe, will be helping us next year. Maybe they can join us with a community development grant, because their school, they just constructed a new school with the state's help. That's right alongside the brook. In fact, their parking lot, their driveway is parallel with the brook. It's right there. So that we have to do that. And that should improve the flooding, and not to question Mother Nature, not to challenge her, but even with the two storms we had in the recent past, Flasher Brook did not overflow to any extent that it used to, where you actually had cars covered with water and people out in rowboats. So it seems to be helping, and that was the worst storm we had in over 100 years. Not like they say, a 100-year flood. They happen every 10 years, but this was the amount of rainfall that came in. The English Avenue Park, talking about getting open space money, we have no newly constructed playground equipment in English Ave. They haven't had good equipment down there for years. With the help of Representative Mr. Convoy, we went to the open space program. We contribute half. They give us half, and we have new equipment down at English Ave, and we're applying $30,000 to put a soccer field on English Ave, which should be constructed next year, right, Tom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now that's a big change compared to $3 million that at one time was proposed to this English Avenue Park. This is $30,000 for playground equipment, and $30,000 to level the field off for a new soccer field. That's basically my report. But as you can see, we're getting the money from the county. If you add up the Garfield Waterworks property, $415,000, $200,000 for the community development money for Kip Avenue, and $30,000 to put the soccer field on, $645,000 that we should be able to bring into this community with the help of the county and the good work of this council preparing these things. So with that said, I would like to open the meeting to the public. So if there's anyone in the public that wishes to be heard. Okay, Mel.
Building Avenue, Glenwood Avenue, Elmwood Park. I read an article in the newspaper yesterday, today, that Elmwood Park on the DWI, when they stop someone and they get a summons, it's a $100 summons. Elmwood Park gets $90, and the other 10 goes to someone else. And then I got reading further that the program has been stopped because there was a problem with the management. I was just wondering why the program stopped. We have a deputy chief, we have captains, lieutenants, sergeants. You mean there is nobody who can step in and oversee this program? First of all,
You want us to answer that?
okay, please do.
Mr. Kaplan, it's the chief of police who determines whether or not there are going to be details like DWI or seatbelt enforcement, whatever it is. That's entirely within the jurisdiction of the chief. He's the one who decided, excuse me, he's the one who decided to stop it.
Yes, Mr. Gibbon, but let us assume the chief was ill or something or other and he was not available. Doesn't the deputy chief or someone, the next in line, take over and keep the program going?
But the chief is available, and he's the one that makes those decisions. He decided to stop the program.
Well, I just think it's very unfair to the residents. It was a very lucrative program. We got a lot of equipment from the monies from that program, plus getting all these drunks and addicts off the road, which is also important. And it just seems to me that the second in command should be able to step in and keep this program going. Thank you. If I just made a quick answer to Mr. Worth, I didn't hear all the numbers that you were talking about, but for what it's worth, the athletic field program that the Board of Education proposed was in the neighborhood of $20 million.
Yeah, actually 19 million.
I mean,
But the athletic field alone was about $6.5 million.
I didn't understand.
The athletic field alone was about $6.5 million.
Yeah, well, to redo the project that they proposed was in the neighborhood of $20 million. Add to that what they still owe on the bonds for the high school. Think of the tax burden on the residents of this town if something like this were to go forward. Thank you, gentlemen.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard? If you want to speak, just run right up there.
Arlene Perna-Ridman, 1 Paul Court. As you know,
You are a member of the Board of Education.
and I am a member of the Board of Education. I was going to get to that. As you know, I've been a member of this town. I've lived in this town for over 40 years. I love this town, like all of you, like most of the people here. We did not move away. We stayed here because we love this town, correct? And I was a guidance counselor for 25 years. I love the kids in this town. And you know, you guys all know, because you have kids. We have great kids. And we've got graduates sitting here, and they're all phenomenal kids. And I think what's happening here is that we're forgetting the kids. We're talking about personal this and that, and ripping one another off, and blaming the Board of Ed, and blaming this one and that one, and so on and so forth. We're forgetting the kids and the town. And I really have to say that I really took offense to the comments made that we don't care about education. I am personally the chairperson of the curriculum committee, and I work very closely with the teachers, with the curriculum coordinators, with Dr. Topko, who has phenomenal ideas. We have made more changes in curriculum in the last year than we made in 35 years. What can I tell you? I mean, if you want me to, I will go through. I could list here, but that guy's going to cut me off. We got new textbooks for math this year, which are aligned to the state tests. Very important because of our test scores, correct? Okay. We have a new modular schedule. We have new study skills in the middle school. The kids no longer have 45-minute lunches. They have 20-minute lunches and then 20 minutes for study. We have summer reading program. We have writer's workshop, and I can go on and on and on. I mean, we have been doing a lot of work with academics, and student achievement is our top priority. I just want to stress that. Now, when we go to the referendum and we're talking about the athletic fields and so on and so forth, I just want to tell you, again, it's for our kids. I mean, can you imagine a high school without an athletic program? If that could possibly happen down the road, because everything is falling apart. Now, first of all, the athletic field is, to me, the field. The soccer fields, you just go. I don't know, but well, I guess you've been there. I mean, they're embarrassing. They're embarrassing when people from other town comes. When I'm talking about my love for Elmwood Park and my property value, when people come and see what these fields look like, and we don't have a track. I mean, the kids have to run track somewhere else. They can't even they can't do track in Elmwood Park because we don't have a decent track. All right, that's just the athletic field. Our enrollment is exploding. Other districts are going down. We are not. Our enrollment is increasing. We do not have room. We have to build more classrooms. We have buildings that are falling apart. We've never passed a budget in how many years? So our buildings are falling apart. We need something for the kids. The referendum is for the kids, and it's for us, for the value of our property, our town. Now, trust me, I pay a lot of money in taxes. I pay $9,000 in taxes, but I'd be willing to give that little bit just for the kids in our district because they deserve every bit of it. And then to get back to, speaking of kids, to the rec program. Now, I haven't been involved with the rec. My children have been 40 years. We've been out of the rec for 40 years. And I remember it was a wonderful program. That was before there was 2 different teams and so on and so forth. Everybody worked together. It was wonderful. Now, I mean, people, I have to just say, even though my children aren't involved, my neighbors, my parents in town have been very unhappy with the rec programs since Richie Del Moro retired. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm telling you, that's what people are saying. And I feel that we really have to do something, you know, to work together and make something happy for the kids. We want children to participate in sports. We don't want them hanging on the street corners. We want them to be playing sports. So the Board of Ed did propose a shared service plan, but that was rejected. I mean, wouldn't that be nice if we had a nice program for the kids, the rec and the schools? Other than that, that's it. I would like to see the kids happy and successful.
Can I ask a question real quick on the board, considering the Board of Ed?
I'll try.
I mean, did they consider, speaking to the microphone, okay, did they consider just repairing and upgrading schools, rebuild and upgrade the high school gym, replace the track stands and concession stand only without the additional of an administration building and a football field? I guarantee you, you're looking at about $5 million instead of 20.
It's not an administration building.
Okay,
The
well,
administration
building is special ed, but I apologize.
and the present administration building, the rooms, are going to be made into classrooms, which they need in 16th Avenue because the kids are coming out of the walls over there. So it's not an administration building. It is to bring the special ed back, and so that we can save money and the building will pay for itself. As far as the field goes, it's important to the town to have this field. That's my opinion. This is my opinion.
Thank you. Excuse me, Mayor. Ms. Bernie, you made a comment about, people aren't happy with the rec. So does that mean we should start our own school system when parents tell us that they're unhappy with the school system?
I'm just saying that parents are interested in having a good rec program, so they'll do anything to do that.
There's a rec meeting the third Tuesday of every month. There's nobody ever at it. And before, when Mr. DeMoro was here, this is no reflection on Mr. DeMoro, this is the rec commission. Prior to that, the meetings sometimes never even took place. So now there's a meeting, since I've been liaison, there's a meeting every month, unless for some reason it gets canceled for some strange reason, but there's one every month, and there's no one there. Now, just like at your Board of Education meetings, there's usually not a lot of people there. Lately there has been, so I'm talking about when I've gone to some, before Mr. Tomko was even superintendent, because him and I used to sit there and talk about things that were going on at the days. So, you say they're unhappy, does that mean that it's okay then, just go over and take over the rec programs?
We're not taking over.
Well, sure you are, that's exactly what's happening.
That is not what's happening.
I just have one last question. Where does the school district rank right now, against other municipalities in Berkeley County? Where do we rank? Where do we rank?
I don't have that number right now. However, I did say that we are trying to improve our test scores, which is basically, that's where we are ranking it. We are trying to improve our test scores. It's not going to happen overnight. In 1 year, we made so many changes. It's not going to happen overnight, but we are trying to improve it. That is the reason we are here. And that is our top plan.
You never once heard me say, why did you Ms. Mayor and Council say anything negative about the education that's going on outside the classrooms? What our concern is there's a lot of effort on the outside stuff, which has never really been, would you agree or not, shouldn't our administration focus more on what's happening in the classrooms than the extracurricular stuff that...
They are.
Okay, so
they are.
It's an awful lot of effort.
I'm sorry, but they are.
And when we rank, and we have ranked there for a while, against other municipalities in Berkeley County, down in the bottom portion, and I think the last time we had the rankings...
Well, you know, I'm not going to... You know what, I'm not going to...
At a second municipality, I believe we're 4th or 5th in the bottom, and have been down there. So I applaud your efforts that you're saying you're making.
I mean, that's what we're trying to improve.
Right, and, you know, we had a referendum. We had a referendum for $40-some-odd million. We could have, I forget how much it was with the interest, and with this one, it's 19-point-something million, and let's call it 20. It's really about 24 and change, almost 25 million when you include the interest. So we're currently around 40 million that we're still paying off with that interest. We could have almost built a whole new, brand new school on property we have, then slowly went down when that would be open, then demolish the other. You know, the deterioration.
I wasn't here then, I can't.
Well, I know, but you worked at the school district for 25 years. You watched the deterioration happen. We should blame all the folks prior to you. I applaud you for what you're trying to do moving forward, but they were all in charge. And maybe the budget's always failed. Maybe the public didn't feel that it was being spent right. Or didn't have the confidence. Actually, you know what, when we see budgets being failed, I think that's a resemblance of the fact that you don't have the confidence of the people.
All right, if we can have another speaker, Mr. Copeland.
Thank you.
Stephen Perez, 199 Hillman Drive. 66th rank is where we are out of 70 districts. 66. And I just wanted to make a general comment because I hear that we're continuing to try to improve academics in this town.
May I just make a comment to you? Address your comments to us.
Sure.
And I'm sure the people in the audience can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's okay. Everybody turns around and talks to the audience.
I am not a lifelong Elmwood Park resident. I moved here 12 years ago to start a family. And I did take a look at the school system. And remember having the conversations with my wife about being concerned with the academics in this town. 12 years ago, we were at the bottom of the list. And currently today I have 3 children all attending St. Leo's School. My concern is that there's not enough focus being put on academics. I would love to have my kids attend public school. I pay into it when I pay my taxes. I went to public school. But to say that we're continuing to try and try and try, we're talking 12 years here. Again, don't look at me as someone who is not an Elmwood Park life longer. Look at me as somebody who wants to send his children to public school. But I can't, and I won't, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. So I just wanted to make that point there that we're still in the same spot that we were 12 years ago when I moved to Elmwood Park. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else who wants to be here? Gentleman in the back? Gentleman in the back?
Gentlemen in the back.
Gentlemen before the ladies.
Lady, Estelle. You.
I won't be long. Estelle Mandello, 36 Franklin Street. Just a couple of things, but first I want to thank the mayor and council for agreeing to change the senior center, and I want to thank Councilman Caramagna.
Not the whole sentence, the room.
The room to Jack McLaughlin, who was very special to all of us on both sides of the aisle.
Until a certain death. Until you went to your side.
Exactly. Yeah, he came into the light. I know. Councilman, I have a question about the recycling. Because I didn't hear it. You had talked about the leaves, and I understand that, but I have branches too. Can I tie them and put them out or not?
Not at this time of year. We're cleaning up leaves, everything is changed over to the leaf system.
Okay.
Machines and everything are meant for cleaning up leaves. Branches, up to last week, when you put out your regular waste on your regular day,
Right.
you could have tied the branches and put them out and you would have taken them. At this point on, they won't be doing it during leaf season. If you have branches that need to go down to the DPW, you have to find a way to get them down. They won't be picking them up.
Okay. Well, they're falling in my yard now, so when they were falling before I put them out.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a question about the sewer system. This is just a clarification. Mayor, 2 weeks ago when I had questions, you indicated that some of the streets had already been repaired over the course of the years, and one of the streets you mentioned was Franklin Street on the east side of the boulevard. But I didn't understand, is it the entire Franklin Street on the east side of the boulevard, or just a portion of it?
I can't answer that question. I would suspect it was probably most of it. You see, this community development money that we do receive is confined to certain areas because of financial basis. And if you're on the wealthier side of that street, doesn't mean it could be a couple of dollars. But it was mostly on the east side of the boulevard that we prepared.
Okay, the reason I brought it up is that, as you know, my stepmother lives on that side of the street, and she lives at 99, and the owner of that home has 2 children who play in their basement. They have a finished basement, and they had sewer water pouring, continually pouring into their basement, and they live on the east side. So I just wanted to find out what part of Franklin. So if I can come and check with Mr. Kazmark in the morning.
I suspect because we repaired the pipe in that area, it doesn't mean that sewage could come from a different area and flow into that particular area. Just because we repaired that pipe doesn't inhibit the amount of sewage going through the pipe. And one of the things, while you brought it up, I'll mention to you, our building department now, anyone going in for a permit of any renovation on the house and so forth, when they go to inspect the renovation on the house, they check out where the sump pumps are all going. And we're finding out, as Mr. Monsino has indicated, that much of the problem we have is various sump pumps going into our sanitary sewer system, which is creating a major problem for us because they're getting water in the basements and they're putting it into the sanitary sewer instead of putting it into the drain that goes down the Passaic River. 2 different concepts. One takes the water from the street into the river, one takes the water that you use in your kitchen sink, in your toilet, your shower, and that has to be sent out to the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission to be processed. Now, people who have sanitary sump pumps, and they're not flushing it outside, it's going into our sewer system. And with the amount of rain we had from the storm and the hurricane, just couldn't take it. Everybody has water in their basements, including myself, and they were forcing it to go into the sanitary sewer. The pumps we're working on trying to get bigger pumps, but I don't know if that's going to help. If everybody still gets more, and I've had people tell me, as I'm campaigning, I'm going to get a sump pump, I'm going to get this sump. Then we're going to put more in.
Well,
that's not going to help us.
As I indicated the last time, I have a sub pump that does pump into my backyard that goes down into the driveway into the street. However, As the gentleman before me indicated how frustrated he is with the school system, I don't want to get into that, but for 7 years that I've lived in Elmwood Park, I have raw sewage whenever we have these. It's been going on for 7 years, and it's 1 or 2 times a year, raw sewage pouring into my basement hour after hour after hour. Mayor, it is not just water. And I understand you're doing the best you can, but there is a great deal of frustration out here, including me, my house, because I have a 93-year-old aunt that I take care of, and we couldn't use the facilities. My tenant couldn't use it because we were trying to stop pouring the sewer water from coming in, but the sewer water was coming in from other houses into my house, and who knows what disease was coming in. So I understand that the rain and the storm is an act of God. None of us can control how much water we get, but the condition of the sewer pipes need to move faster because it is intolerable.
Estelle, I obviously am not a plumber, but my suggestion to you is contact the plumber to do something about a shut-off valve, and I don't want to go through that because we went through it last year. If you're going to wait until this town resolves all its problems, and we have another heavy rainstorm next week, you've got a problem.
Well, I have the
Now,
plumber.
I told you a street campaign, and I don't want to get into all of that.
No,
You're the only one who thought they had sewage. Whether the neighbors did mention it to me or not, but no one else mentioned it.
Mayor,
Contact the plumber, that's all I'm saying.
I have contacted the plumber, and I already have that. But I didn't mention this part the last time I was here, but when you flush the toilet, and there is a heavy storm out there, the water goes out, and the force of the other sewer water keeps the flap open. And that's it doesn't close, so we can't use it anymore. And the councilman suggested I get a jet valve to shut it off. A gate valve. Well, but I am not the only one in Elmwood Park that has this problem with the sewer. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to be here?
Good evening, everybody. Jim Monaco, 63 Orchard Street. I would say 99% of everybody in this building know who I am. I'm not a lifelong resident. I'm here 12 years. I have a 23-year-old boy who went 9 years at St. Leo's and the rest of his school years at Elmwood Park High School. I have a stepson who went from Gilbert Avenue all the way through high school. I have an 8-year-old girl right now in Gilbert Avenue School. I am part of the Home and School Association at Gilbert Avenue. And I said this, I was at the Board of Education meeting the other night, I was in the workroom, and I said the community, and I'm getting emotional about this, but our community is not a community. You guys were talking about working with Garfield to get stuff done in town, right? You work together with Garfield as a team. You work together with other towns as a team. Why can't the council, the Board of Education, and the rec department work together as a team? Why can't we figure out a way of doing that? Our citizens, and I'm not talking as a home school association, I'm talking about a citizen in this town. My friends and family in this town don't believe that we work together as a team. There's no I in team, right guys? We've said this 100,000 times to our kids on the bench, on the kids on the field. There's no I in team. There's unity and community. We need to be a community. We need to figure out a way of working this out. I understand $12 million $19 million. The schools are falling apart. Dr. Tomko has been in there for 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, I think. There was administrations before, like they said, the referendums never passed. the buildings were not maintained. My girl was in that classroom last year at Gilbert Avenue where the wall fell down. They moved her out, they sat in the library or they sat in the art room the rest of the year because that steel beam, and there's pictures of it on the internet, and Dr. Tomko has a piece of that metal, whatever it is, in his office. Because that building is 100 years old or however many years old it is, it's fallen down. Gantner, it's fallen down. 16th Avenue, it's fallen down. The gymnasium, Mr. Conboy, you wouldn't even want to put your kids out there to play basketball. That gymnasium floor is wobbly. It's all over the place. The schools need repair. Granted, they're putting the football field in there too, or they're putting that sports complex in there also, but if right now when people come to our football field, whether it's Bonner football or high school football, soccer, whatever we're playing, softball, they got to use a porta potty. You got to go out and use a porta potty. When it's 80 degrees out and you got to go to the bathroom and you got to go in a porta potty, it's 110 in there with everything else. There's a hut that we can't use anymore because it's been shut down for safety reasons. There's bleachers on both sides of the field that have problems. They don't have the backing on it. The kids, I'm a nervous wreck when I go up there and I see kids running around on those bleachers. They're going to fold down between the seat and the bottom because there's no backings on them. Every other school, whether they have a turf field or not, they have backings on those bleachers. Ours don't. I'm just saying that we need to figure out a way of working together. I mean, I don't know how to get about doing it or how to go about doing it. If I have to stand between everybody and be the mediator between everybody, I'll do it. But I need this town, and our citizens need this town to figure out a way of working together to get through this problem. Because I don't know what Plan B is, but if this referendum doesn't pass and Gilbert is potentially closed in portions, then they got to move kids to a different school. There's no room already to move them in our town. They got to put them somewhere else. I don't know where they would put them, but they got to put them someplace.
Thank you.
And we need to figure out a way of being a community instead of, like somebody else had said, we need to get the word out there as to really what's going on here. It's not just the football field. It's not just the track field. It's those schools for everybody. There's more people moving into town. We got River Road project over here. We're going to have a lot of students coming in and out of there. I don't know how many. And they're bringing more students in every day. People are moving into the apartments and houses and everything else.
We have
Just
5
need to
minutes.
figure out a way.
Finish up?
Pardon me?
We have 5 minutes. If you're finished, we'll call on somebody else.
I'm done.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard, you have 5 minutes.
Brad Leibowitz, a reporter with the Community News.
Brad, you have 5 minutes.
Sure, yeah, I just want to ask some questions, that's fine. You guys know I don't have a dog in this fight, I don't care the way it really happens, I'm just kind of in the middle. Obviously, I speak to Dr. Tomko, members of the board, and I speak to you guys pretty regularly too. It always seems from my point of view that I'm kind of the middleman passing a message along from you guys to the board or from the board to you guys. So my question right now is, I see there's members of the board here also, is as of right now, do you guys actually talk to one another about things? Do you guys actually work with one another about things right now, or is that line of communication off? And this is a question for you guys, and I know Ms. Robbins here, and I'm just wondering if there's an open line right now.
There's a proposal out there that this council would like to speak with the members of the board, just the public officials. And that's been turned down because the board wants to have Mr. Tomko and Mr. Moffitt there. And this council says, hey, listen, we're just elected officials. Let's just talk to you as elected officials and see what we can work out. That's been turned down.
Okay. That's actually all I want to ask.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, that's it.
I'm going to change the tape.
We're going to change the tape. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard at this time? Yes, gentleman in the back. Mr. Little.
And I may, before Mr. Leader takes the podium, I'd just like to make a couple of quick comments to Mr. Monaco, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you, man. You know, Jim, you know me a long time. You see how I went around, hustle around, the years that your oldest son was also an Eagle Scout at the gym and everything. So hopefully you understand. I know you know me pretty well. Always pretty, come up talk to me about any issues, not just as a councilman, but we see each other a lot. What you said is some of it is very true. It has been very disturbing, and I'm sure that that other members here in the audience may feel it will be different. When you talk about the recreation and so forth, and regarding sports, we always seem to be finding out after the fact. You talk about dialogue. Right now, the recreation, even to make it more palatable to me, there was an email went back and forth with their athletic committee, with their chairman, actually Mrs. Ballestieri, to meet, to discuss like wrestling and discuss gym issues and stuff like that. And now that meeting's on hold. And at the request of the athletic committee of Mrs. Ballestieri, she asked that one of the rec members not be present. So the rec commissioner actually accommodated her request and said, fine, we understand you believe that person has a negative tone or whatever your reasons are that you want that person there. That person does not need to be present, we'll just pick somebody else. So accommodating who you'd like to be at the table, and then now being told there's no meeting. And there won't be any meeting until the council decides on this proposal, whatever the heck they want to call it. That's the kind of stuff that's so disturbing, just like with the wrestling. They decided back in May, and again, I don't have time to read the Board of Education website in minutes, as I don't expect them to.
I don't want you speaking. Maybe we should hold your remarks till after the public portion. This way it's not a back and forth thing.
No.
Okay, all right.
So, just like I don't expect them to read everything that we put out, when we put out in 4 weeks, I guess they put out within once a month. So, but there was no dialogue. It's already after the fact. And as I mentioned before, talking about the wrestling real quick, we reached out again to be proactive. After what has happened with some of the other sports, especially with summer camp, we said, hey, you know what, let's make sure everybody's in-house, everything's fine. We were told everything's fine. Then when the rec director goes back and goes back to people that we've entrusted to run the program, says, well, we got a better deal over at the high school. We've been promised new singlets, which we bought new singlets just a couple of years ago. We were promised new walnuts, we were promised mats. We were promised to use the buses to get them back and forth to matches, and also free registration. Now, you talk about education, you talk about the buildings, it may be a small amount of money, but that's still money being taken out of the budget that's earmarked for education, earmarked for buildings and so forth, that's being used somewhere else. That was before, as a separate entity, it ran on its own, and no burden to the taxpayer. So, you talk about the collaboration, it's not there, because these things are being done after the fact. Just like the summer camp. When we had a brief meeting with selected members from, Mr. Tomko was there, and some other members, they announced we were going to have a summer camp. We had already squared again. It was after the fact that we were in the middle of hours. And we actually said, can we work together? Why do you have to have a summer camp? Well, I already got the kids there anyway, I'm going to have a summer camp. Then we said, look, we'll even have the kids, we provide a bus for the kids who have to go for their remedial reading. We go bus them back. Then we lost our buses, we had to go out and buy a bus. I mean, everything has been, I will say one thing, it's been well planned out. Patton couldn't have done a better battle plan. It's been meticulously planned out and deliberate in their way that they've gone about it. And again, it has nothing to do with education. That's why you see me get all fired up and get all worked up about it. Okay? Like, for example, basketball. Now one of your sons played over by us, and we have a great recreation basketball program. St. Leo's and St. Anne's have basketball as well. We all coexist with the kids, with the recreation. As you know, I still run the basketball program, the sports program at St. Leo's.
Back in the day when we had conflicts, and I would speak to Mr. Moriarty, who was in charge of the festival, we'd actually change games for each other so the kids could get back. Your son was on the teams back then, so we could get back and forth to the rec games and so forth. But you take what's happening now with the recent thing with the, sticking with the basketball, for us to use the gymnasiums, it's going to cost us $9,000 to use the gymnasiums. Because we have to get a proctor, this new person to watch us, pay for the janitor, anywhere from $36 to $40, but it's going to be $40 because, you know, it's going to be the average thing on the pay scale. The janitor has to be there anyway. And back in the day, when recreation basketball, even as of last year, played there, the janitor just would let us in and let us out. Most of the kids just picked up their water bottles, and most floors were locked. You were limited to where you could go anyway, and like the kids were wandering the halls. But here we're going to charge $9,000. But the board has decided to pay EPJBL's insurance, $1,000 or whatever it is. And they're also going to waive any fees so they can have their party that they usually have at the beach and everywhere else, or like a barbecue stop at the school. That's great. The kids get to save $300 a week. Is there going to be a proctor? Do they have to pay for the janitor? So all those fees have been waived, and they're going to pay their insurance. And you know, Jim, that the junior baseball league takes kids from out of town. So I have the question I have, and I guess I'll go to the next Board of Ed meeting, or maybe since now after tonight, I'm sure my colleagues and I will receive another 3 or 4 page or 5 page letter from the school district about everything we said here tonight. So I apologize for the heavy reading next week. They allow children from out of towns. So are we going to be paying taxpayers' dollars that can be used for education? Again, even though that may be minuscule, but it's still part of the budget, so that a child from another town could come here and play baseball, to which now we just covered their insurance, to take playing time away from Johnny, or make a traveling team, and they're going to cover your insurance. So it seems like fees are getting waived. They took over wrestling. So I guess now, wrestling won't have to pay any fees. I mean, that's all money. That's my big problem, Jim. The education part of it, I'm sure it's being taken care of. I've never seen you criticize that part, or anybody on this desk. That's where it strikes a real big.
No, excuse me. We still have a speaker there. You can speak.
Thank you, Mayor, and Mr. Leader, thank you for giving me the time to speak prior to you.
Don't do that again, all right? Jeff Leader, 34 Stone Ave. I am a life resident, 41 years. Before I get into about my boys, I just wanted to say where Let Them Be Little ×2 is today. I don't know if anybody goes on our website. Let Them Be Little ×2 has been originated about a year ago. We are now international. We are as far as Australia. We have about 30 to 40 volunteers that work for our organization, as well as a team of lawyers and a team of accountants. We do an enormous amount of fundraisers, and we are moving forward progressively in trying to find a cure for not only MPS II, but for all MPS diseases. Right now, we are currently working on our next fundraisers with Applebee's, and the next 2 things that we are actually doing is we're in the process of going on a talk show, and we're in the process of writing a book, and the name of the book is going to be called Our Journey Continues, and it's going to be about the volunteers from Let Them Be Little ×2 and our daily operations that we do. On that note, the reason I came here this evening, and I went to the Board of Education meeting the other night, was to publicly single out certain individuals and stuff that did some wonderful things and came together for my 2 boys, Jason and Justin, who have this rare genetic disease. Just so you guys know, the Board of Education, I'm a middleman. I take a middle road on all this. The Board of Education organized a football game against the Lodi Rams and Elm Park High School Crusaders for my boys, and they made them the honorary captains on the field. I'm sure everybody's seen the pictures in the community news lately. And they put ×2 or X2 on the back of their helmets and dedicated the season to them. I found it ironic that Lodi and Elm Park, who's a big hated game against each other, were able to come together for a good cause. It made me feel good. Actually, I broke down and cried, and we stood on the field, and my little boy has an Elm Park Crusaders jersey on. He's holding a Lodi helmet that was presented to him, which was a very, very nice thing that they did. So I reached out to them and said their thank yous. Now, to the mayor and council here, when I had my first big gala event at the Venetian, every single one of you showed up, and that was very nice to see how you guys came together for my boys. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for what you have done for my 2 boys. Some individuals I like to single out at this time would be foremost is the first organization in this town is the Elmwood Park Little League. Elmwood Park Little League, they brought me in as a coach, which I did coach for years ago. I used to coach the Bombers for about 13 years, and then I gave it up. Went to St. Leo's basketball for a few years, and I came back. I didn't know how they were going to respond to me coming back to coaching with, at that point, I felt the burden that I had at home. But there was this one gentleman that, he's in the audience tonight, Bob Calabro, that actually said to me, come here with open arms. And not only did he accept me as a coach and as also as a friend and as a teammate, but the man also made one of my most special days ever come true. My son was able to stand on home plate and throw out the first pitch before the season began. And walking down the yellow line on Memorial Day Parade with me on one side and my son Jason in his little outfit holding Bob's hand as we walked down. It's just nice how to see people come together for children. Another person I like to reach out to is Mr. Frank Caramago. What he did with his children, he did what's called Cannolis for a Cure. And he did something for my boys, and he raised money for my children and for all the other children out there with cannolis. Also, his Italian class, they donated money to us, to our organization. And I thank you, sir, for that. I also would like to reach out to the Chief of Police of Elmwood Park and our Deputy Chief because they nominated Jason and Justin to be Police Chief of the Day. And Mr. Mayor was here that day, and they were sworn in right in here, and we had a wonderful breakfast. We went down to Hackensack on the steps of the courthouse, and they were sworn in down there, and then we went to Lodi for a big ceremony. And the point that I'm getting at here today is to come together for a great cause for two kids, you know, that everybody, you know, there's a lot of bad blood going through town right now, and you can hear the levelness of voices in this room and the night at the Board of Education meeting and stuff. And to hear that, and then you see what these kids are going through and how everybody puts all that stuff aside just for a minute for two little boys who basically do not have a chance in life. We all know where Jason and Justin are going. And it's quite ironic how we can do that for two little boys. And what my question is, and like I said, I'm not here to pick a side or have an opinion on a referendum or anything, but my question is why can't we just put down all our differences and everything, not for only two little boys, but for every little boy and girl in this town all the way up to grade 12? And that's my question. And it's a little disturbing to me, and that may be one point before I was faced with my children that are going to die. But at one point, I was maybe like that, and I would be all up in arms and say, you know what, this referendum is no good, or this is great, we need to do this. But what we need to do as a whole, just as the Elmwood Park Crusaders and the Lodi, who don't like each other, did, and how people here and the Board of Education did, and the rest of the town has done for two little boys, I don't understand why we can't just sit down as adults and be good examples to our children and say, listen, what can we do? To me, it's ridiculous. 41 years, and I think I have a right to say it, that we have Elmwood Park Little League Baseball, we have junior baseball, we have a basketball here, a basketball there, a wrestling there, a wrestling there. Are we a town, are we a city, are we New York City? We just have way too many. To me, there should be one baseball, there should be one wrestling, and I could go on and on and on. I'm not going to. That's the way community is. I said to the board the other night when I was there, I said one question to them, and it wasn't being nasty to them, and I would present this question to you gentlemen as well. Define community. Nobody could give me an answer on that, because you know what? Because we are not showing what a community should be. You know what we are? And I'm part of you too. We're an embarrassment. Because everybody's chit-chatting and yelling at each other, and nothing's getting done for the children. And I feel if we can come together for two little boys, unfortunately we know where they are and what's happening to them, we should be able to come together as adults and as leaders of our town, both on their side and our side, and come together and say, what can we do for these kids? That's what my proposal is to you. And, you know, with our organization that we have a prayer or a poem that we came up with for our organization, for our boys. And I just wanted to share this tonight with you before I leave the podium here. And just bear with me here. It's, let them be little to run and play, to dance and laugh the day away. Some sweet, some small, aren't children the greatest gift of all? We love you so and hope they will know how much we want to watch them grow. We'll be strong for them, and we're always there to wipe away their tears, every worry, every care. All our children have touched our hearts in so many ways and always make us smile. So, dear Lord, we pray that you'll watch over all of them and let them be little for just a while. And I keep that with me forever, not just for my boys, but for every child out there. And not only every, like I said, international now, but for every child where it starts in my home. Every child from pre-K to 12th grade. And if anybody wanted a copy of this, live by these rules, because you know what? Children can teach us a lot. You know, and last thing I'd like to say before I go is, I would pray that I would like my children to see where the future of Elmwood Park is going to go. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, I'm not going to. So what I need to do is fight as strong and as hard as I can now to bring us all together as one and try to solve our differences. And roll up our sleeves and let's get to work at this. And whatever plan we come up with, I'm sure it's going to be the right plan, because I know we all have deep down in our hearts, it's for the kids. Thank you, and thank you so, so much. The words cannot describe how I feel about Elmwood Park, our mayor and council, and everybody else that I have talked about here today for the support that you have given to my children, Jason and Justin Leader. Thank you so, so much.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard? Yes. Oh.
Claire Kalinowski, 204 Roosevelt Avenue. First of all, I'd like to say that I've stated here before that I've been in this town for 16 years.
Claire, you are the president of the Board of Education.
That is correct, Mayor. I am the president of the Board of Education. You know, I'm hearing a lot of people here stating that...
Can I say something else?
Microphone. Sorry, is better? Thank you. I'm hearing a lot of comments about how we're not concerned about education. I don't know if people have realized we were under a regime for about 20 years that was stagnant. Dr. Tomko has been in his position a year, and he has moved our district forward leaps and bounds. That being said, I think it's quite an amazing task that he has done, especially since none of our budgets passed. We've had 2 budgets passed, but really none before that had ever passed. And then also on top of that, it being really hard to move forward when mayor and council and the governor have cut us millions of dollars, time and time again. So for us to move forward and do better for our children, it's up to you also. And cutting us really doesn't serve the community well. I've been hearing how this referendum is going to raise the public's taxes. This is true. But I would imagine, me being here 16 years, my taxes have been raised and raised and raised, and I have seen absolutely no changes, in my opinion. At least if this referendum did pass, yes, $19 million, we would see changes to our community. I'm curious, I did read in the paper not too long ago, I mentioned at the Board of Ed meeting that mayor and council had acquired a $5 million bond recently. I don't know if anyone, or maybe Mr. Kazmark, could answer what it is for and how much per assessed home.
Mr. Kazmark?
Through the mayor, it's not a $5 million bond. It's a bond anticipation note that needs to be sold by bond counsel in order for us to fund any debt that we have. It's not $5 million worth of project.
So it's debt.
What's that? It's debt.
It's debt.
Just
So
like the school has debt from the previous referendum that was passed, which needed to be approved by the voters,
we incur debt when we do certain types of bond ordinances over a period of years.
and like you said, that when we incur debt, it's approved by the voters, but this is not, correct?
No, the mayor and council have a different system in order to incur long-term projects. The school board is required to go out to the voters. The mayor and council are able to do that on a case-by-case basis depending on the project.
Right.
Our debt, if I can interrupt you, our debt is fix streets, repair pipes, like police equipment, things of that nature, DPW trucks and so forth. And it's approximately $5 to $10 million. The school board presently has $40 million in debt from the first referendum. And if this referendum is passed, and the people vote for it, we don't vote for it, you don't vote for it.
Well, I vote for it, I'm a resident.
Okay, okay. It will be $65 million in debt. So if you come here and you say, you've been living here, your taxes have been going up, and you don't see anything, 60-some-odd% of the taxes go to the school board, 10% go to the county. So we're only involved, this council, with about 35% of the tax. And if the pipes aren't fixed, you get sewers. And if you don't have trucks to clean up the roads when it snows, you have a problem. And at least need equipment, you have a problem. So let's put it all in its proper perspective, that this council will do what this council has to do, and the majority of the money goes to the Board of Education. In any town, not only here.
What Mr. Monaco had said prior, I agree with him. I think there's some misleading going on. You gentlemen know that a letter had been sent to all of you in reference to, we met with you people a couple of months ago in reference to shared services. It was, if you ask me, in my opinion, turned down. We came there, no shared services were discussed. There was a shared service agreement, Mayor. Mayor, there was a shared service agreement presented to the mayor and council.
It wasn't an agreement. The document
it was denied.
Excuse me, the document that was presented said you, the Board of Education, will take over our Board of Recreation and dismiss all the people we have in the Board of Recreation. And that was not accepted by this council. It was a demand that the Board of Education would take over our Board of Recreation, and this council, rightly or wrongly, said, we have a Board of Education. Why are they coming in here and saying we're going to dismiss your Board of Recreation and fire everybody?
Well, I don't agree. We presented you with an agreement. It was denied, regardless of the fact that when we came to that meeting, it was a case of browbeating.
We had no idea you were going to present any kind of plan to us. That was not the communication to the meeting.
Never mind the fact that a governor's checklist was brought up to my attention at your work meeting, and there's questions on there about shared services, about meeting with the Board of Ed. We've also sent you 2 letters about meeting with us, where you just stated before that you sent us a letter and it's been denied. You just don't like the format of the meeting. But there is a meeting that has been proposed twice, and it has been denied by Mayor and Council.
May I ask you a question?
If you'd like to ask some questions, Mayor, you can come to our meeting.
Because your meeting,
I'm not here. I'm here to make some comments.
Okay.
I'm here to make some comments.
I would like
This
to
is public
ask you,
session.
as president of the board, would you meet with your members of the board, with the council, without anyone else? Mr. Kasmark doesn't have to call a special meeting, doesn't have to be here taking minutes. We don't have to have the superintendent. We don't have to have the business administrator. Just the public officials sitting
Mayor,
there.
from what I'm aware of, if we met that way, it's against the Sunshine Law. If I'm correct, please, Mr. Kasmark, it's against the Sunshine Law. It would need to be publicized as a public meeting. And regardless of that, Dr. Tomko and Mr. Moffitt are members of our board. They're just non-voting members. And we chose them as part of our committee.
It almost appears that the board does not want to meet.
No, as I stated, those are the true facts. So again, you're turning it down because you don't like the members of our committee. So that's the bottom line of
We're not
it.
turning it down. We're asking you to come to us and meet with this council on an informal basis.
On another note, there was a comment made from Councilman Conboy that it's going to be $9,000 in custodial fees. I know for a fact Mr. Kasmark received notification that if there was a letter sent to the Board of Ed, that if it's a hardship for the mayor and council and or rec, that we can consider waiving fees. There's yet to be a letter received. So again, you're saying that we're going to charge you money. We're extending an olive branch, but the finger is being pointed.
Well, why did
We are here to serve the kids.
Why did you even come up with $9,000? Everything else is just being given away.
There's nothing.
The other fees are being waived.
Mr. Conboy, I'm not here to have a question and answer,
Well,
but
say
that one I will.
The mayor and council meeting, we actually get the answer back.
That
Unlike
I
before
will.
then, we only get the comment, and we don't get no response.
It's called public comment session.
Well,
But
this
that
is-
I will. See, our budget pays for our custodians to do their job. When there's a rec program in our buildings, that is overtime. They have to take away from their duties to clean up and take care of what a rec program is doing. So now, that needs to be paid for. There's been a lot of talk, I heard at the other meeting, double dipping. I take offense to that, because that sounds like we're thieves. It's not double dipping. Where we're gonna get the money to pay overtime? No.
Yes, you are.
No.
You're asking the taxpayers to pay twice.
The taxpayers with the school budget are paying a regular time slot for a custodian. When they need to pay overtime, how can it come out of our budget when we're constantly cut money? We don't have the money to constantly pay overtime.
For years.
So we're asking for the rec program to please pay, just like any other establishment would need to when they came into our buildings. But
For
again,
years, when the high school needed to be at the rec center to have practice, late at night, we provided a person to open up, let them in, at no charge. And that's what, Claire, come on, you and I have had these conversations before.
Mr. Conboy, how come the rec charges the kids to have a dance $250? Sorry, if we're gonna have this tit for tat, we're gonna go for
How
it.
has that been waived?
Waived? That's because now the dance has been moved to the middle school.
Okay.
Okay, so please. Another comment that was made by Mr. Work about JBL, it's not being taken over, it's affiliated. And again, these programs are approaching us. We are not approaching these programs, they're approaching us. Dr. Tomko has made comments in public, and he's made it to the board, to these programs. If they would like to affiliate with Elmwood Park Little League, by all means, we're happy to support it. That is their decision, not ours. So again, the finger pointing, it's really getting tiresome. The misleading of the community, getting tiresome. And if the community would like to have the true facts, I suggest they come to the Board of Ed meetings or make an appointment with Dr. Tomko. He is more than happy to sit down and speak with anyone. Thank you.
Claire, how much is the wrestling budget gonna cost?
You can come to the Board of Ed meeting
How
and
much?
you can speak to Dr. Tomko.
You're gonna ask the taxpayers now to pay for wrestling.
You can speak to Dr. Tomko.
No answer, you're the board president. You have no
I don't have
idea.
those figures on me, Tom.
What are they, ballpark?
I don't have those
Ballpark,
figures.
yes.
Tom, not doing
We have to be on the microphone so it doesn't work.
Right.
Okay, it's common. Sandy Balistreri, 141 Willow Street. We spent a lot of these
Member of the
meetings,
Board of Education.
member of the Board of Education. And council candidate. Been on the board 9 years, what else should I say?
9 years.
President twice, vice president, should I keep going? But I've been a resident for over 50 years, so that's I think what counts the most. I come to these meetings, and obviously I've been coming here a long time, coming to especially the public meetings, and I would say 2/3 out of the whole meeting is about the Board of Ed. It just amazes me.
Oh, no.
Absolutely. No, you take that meeting from 8 o'clock to finish. You add up that time, which usually when you vote, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Maybe one councilman will talk for 20 minutes. Every single meeting. I mean, I'm glad that we're that popular that the focus is, matter of fact, if you came to the Board of Ed meetings, you probably wouldn't have to talk about the Board of Ed meetings so much. The one thing I am concerned about I was a little surprised tonight, because usually it's one person that speaks for about a half hour every public meeting about the Board of Ed. This time, well, I think we all know. If we all look back. Oh,
Me!
There you go. So, this time we actually had 3, so that surprised me. The only thing is the one comment from Councilman Boncino, I think that was out of line, to say that the board focuses on sports more than academics.
She is running against him, he's running against her for council, so I don't care what she did.
Oh, gee, then you're probably not going to like my next comment. Which really surprised me, because actually, so now that you say this is the first time you actually spoke up against the Board of Ed at a council meeting. But to say that we focus more on academics than we do on, more on sports than academics, How could you say that? First of all, you don't even attend the meetings. Maybe in the beginning you did. You don't sit on the board. You know what? You should really probably have ran for the board this time instead of the council to see how much work we put into the Board of Ed. We've been there a lot of years. I've been on that board a lot of years, and you know what? Everybody on there cares about the town, the community, the kids. Academics is number one. Because you know what? And I know there's many councilmen here, several councilmen there, and mayor, that their kids came out of the public system, and I think, you know what? They came out really good young men and women, and so we can't knock what the academics are in the school, okay? If people choose not to send them to Elmwood Park, that's their choice. I mean, I have 5 kids out of the school system. My family came out, we've been in town over 60 years, so I take offense to say, you know, we're not worried about academics. You don't, first of all, you wouldn't know that because I don't believe your kids came out of the public. If you came out of the public school system and you had certain things to say, possibly, but honestly, to make that comment, that's terrible.
Mr. Bowser, since you're directing me, I'll just make one comment. My comments were based on my experience on council the last 3 years, and specifically over this last year, on the concentration of information flowing from the Board of Education to our mayor and council, and it was all revolving around recreation programs. And my comment was, if that amount of energy was spent on academics, I think all the residents in town would benefit. And my comments were based on residents not knowing exactly what was going on with this referendum and where the percentages of that $20 million were being spent. Mr. Monaco talked a great deal about the conditions of the building, and when you look at the referendum in total, it's not apportioned or weighted based on, if you're saying there's such a strength in academics, the focus in academics, I would hope that that referendum would be tailored to be the most efficient, targeted at academics, and the most cost-effective when you consider all taxpayers in town.
Listen,
it has nothing to do with where I sent my kids to school.
We all that sit on the board, obviously we're all taxpayers, we live in this town, we're concerned about the town. Like I said, I can speak for myself, being here over 50 years, I think I have an interest in the town, the community. I pay the taxes too. I'm raising a family. I don't, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't have this big business. I'm making a lot of money. I'm just an average person in Elmwood Park. So, you know, to say that we're putting a burden on, no, what we're doing is trying to improve something that should have been done and couldn't be done because of the fact we might have failed 20 years of budgets and then, of course, the big cuts. So we can never stay on track. But to say that you have no idea the work, the time, the committees that we put in. And you know what, and we do it, you know what we do it, and our only gratification is that they succeed. We don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. We don't have $18,000 to $20,000 of benefits. We're sitting there doing it for the only one reason is to see these children succeed. So, you know, to make that comment, that's, I mean, we do it right now. We're spending so much time that we talk about the board. And imagine, I wish I had the time to talk about all these council. I don't know where you get the time to do this.
One more comment, and I'm going to be quite frank. And Mrs. Ruman, I think, hit the nail on the head, because she made a comment that said, a number of residents are concerned about the recreation program in town, and how it's changed since our director changed, and I'm paraphrasing. That is the root cause here, and it's my opinion that a lot of what's going on here is sour grapes for people who didn't get a position in town, whose kids didn't get a trophy, and the like. And that's where this energy is spending. Now, if there's really an issue that we're hearing at the Board of Education about deficiencies in our recreation program, then in the spirit of cooperation, that should have flowed back to the Recreation Department and the Board of Recreation to address it, not take over the program.
Well,
so when you get down to all of this nonsense, that's the bottom line.
We're not taking over.
That's unfair to the kids.
We're not taking over rec program. As it's been said, I don't want to repeat it. This will be a third time that these organizations, affiliations have come to us.
You know,
now, and now, can I please have my moment, please?
You say that when you talk to the other people, they're not here tonight. Oh, man, police councilman, you say that, but they're the ones, let's take wrestling for example. The head of wrestling, the gentleman who was the volunteer, he told the rec director, So unless he's not being truthful, he told them. They reached out to us, they offered us all those perks. And you know, you sit on the athletic committee, you're the chairman, and when last year, when you needed something or you wanted something, or you spent 4 nights at the St. Louis Carnival, while I was there doing the Zeppelins with the mayor, upset about the borough field with the softball.
You were making the Zeppelin.
You.
I was
taste testing, you were handing them out. I gotta keep the girlish figure I had. But you asked me 4 nights in a row about the fields because you were upset about your fall team, okay? And I accommodated you all the time. And Sandy, we usually have been very, right, I still have you saved in my phone, in your phone number. We usually haven't been able to talk. After that, that was it. There was no more communication with you.
No, because, you know what it is, because it was constant.
Because you didn't get your way. That's why.
Ladies and gentlemen,
That's why.
That's ridiculous.
Just like
You think we stopped
Saturday
playing
night-
because you're not a field?
Saturday night, that is true. That's why Councilman Marcino hit the nail right on the
Mr.
head.
Conway, Mr. Ballesteri.
And I'm going to say one more comment, Mayor, and I'll let Mr. Ballesteri finish. Sandy, 3 years ago, I'm just as passionate as everybody else here, and yourself. 3 years ago, when the budget failed, you were president board. I sat in this room back here. We had a cut of $800,000 on the table. I actually got a call in the afternoon that was to say, there's no need to have a meeting, the board's going to accept the cut. I was at that meeting. If you remember, I asked all the questions. As a matter of fact, yourself, Mr. Canizzo, I asked, does the board meet to review the budget together? Mr. Canizzo said, no, we don't. There's a finance board, a finance committee, and they do it all. But starting now, we're all going to start doing it together. And at that meeting, you were president of the Board of Education. You didn't say anything. You didn't say, Mayor, Council, please don't cut the $800,000, or we need to redo the facade at Gilbert Avenue. And I said this at the last public meeting. This is what upsets me. When Mrs. Rudman talks about the deterioration of the schools, Mr. Tomko has been there for 10 years as the principal of the high school, if I'm not mistaken, or in a capacity of employment there. But you didn't ask at that meeting, hey guys, we need to redo this in this one school. You actually agreed to the cut. Can we cut it $400,000 so we can redo the gym? Can we cut it this much? Less? No. And then the year before that, when you weren't president, if I'm not mistaken, it was Ms. Pellegrini, we met downstairs in the all-purpose room. When the cut was a little higher, or about the same, I think it made it a little higher. When you asked how much can we, what else can we do, all the Board of Ed members said, we won't accept any cut. And we said, well, can you offer anything? Can you, no, we want it all, that's it. We want it all. Can you do anything with the cut? No. You didn't even come together with a plan. You didn't come and say, look, we need to do the 3 roofs. If you don't cut it any, we can get the 3 roofs done. No plan.
Now, I'm gonna get back to my comments.
Yes.
Because, you know,
And then after you, may I just suggest we get somebody else who has a question other than the school board? I feel like I'm at the school board.
well, that's what I said, that's the way I feel every time I come here. I'm actually trying to come here to learn about what goes on.
There's no recording to the school board meeting. And they don't answer.
Well, you know, we're not looking to grandstand at the school board meeting anyway. Look, I don't wanna get into this.
It's not
Look.
Cindy, that's town line. You can't get the message out to the public unless they can see it. It's only a handful of paper.
It depends on what, it depends on what the
Stuff that comes out
message
at your meetings goes through your public relations guy on the internet. And that's one-sided.
is. No, but.
It's one-sided, Sandy.
You don't think a lot of these products are
You're
not
on TV, they
one-sided.
can see everything that's here. That's why there's nothing, who's taking the minutes of the meeting?
This is one-sided, when we
Who's
come
taking
over
the
here.
minutes of the meeting?
Listen,
The very same people are pushing the referendum.
right, okay.
That's not one-sided, Sandy. All right.
Finish up, Sandy.
Okay, so you're trying to make me lose my train of thought, that's what it is over here. Okay, so anyway, it's obvious when you go back and you tell the community, and you know what, we'll tell the community, you go back and you look at these tapes, and it's good that you're actually doing this, because you see that majority of these public meetings are focused on, at the end, or majority of the time period of the meeting, is focused on going against the Board of Ed. So to me, if you're actually doing that, how are you looking to work together with us? You don't see us sitting there, okay, public comments, let's just start talking for the next 20 minutes about how bad the Board of Ed is. Now, like I said to you, these affiliations came to us. We didn't call for them, we didn't reach out to them. You know, there's nothing personal or anything involved in this. You know, when we went out with a 0% increase to the town, people think, but maybe, look, I don't want, listen, I don't, let me just finish my comments. I'm not. And then all of a sudden, you know what?
1.29% tax increase.
Now, going back to, I'm not, you know what, this is ridiculous. Now, going back to, like I said, we talked about our focus on sports, and you know what, really, you should get more involved in the Board of Ed on a positive end, and you'll see how much we are not more focused on sports, okay? Because we have plenty of active committees that constantly meet and trying to make improvements and do what we can to make things better. And you know what, the parents are very happy of what they see. And I also, when we talked about, and again, it was brought up again probably for the third or fourth meeting, about the wrestling. The wrestling, you know, coming under us now. This wasn't brand new. It was in the minutes. Goes back May 24th. I have copies of it. I made copies so anybody can look at it. This was voted on 5 months ago. But yet, it was like it happened yesterday. It didn't happen yesterday. Though, Mr. Conboy made a point to reach out to me in the middle of a diner. I was sitting with friends, having something, you know, having a cup of coffee. And he had a grandstand in the diner.
This is not for the public, for you.
No, to say
at the diner, and Mr. Conboy, and you got into the shouldn't be discussed.
It's quite all right. It's on videotape. It's on videotape. I've been hearing what you've been telling people in the town.
That
diner was dead.
All you had to do was sit down, I mean, Sandy, can I talk to you?
It's getting out of hand now. When we bring your personal problems in, Mr. Conboy at a diner doesn't belong in this town.
He approached me as a board of ed member.
I'm not going to accept it. I am not going to accept it here to talk about what was said at a diner.
That's not right.
Here you are walking over me.
Please,
I'm controlling the meeting. I would like you to talk about whatever is the matter with the council and not what happened at the diner. Mr. Di Lorenzo has been trying to get up here 3 times. I sent him back and covered 400 miles and now walking back. Welcome to the school board.
Thank you. Rich Di Lorenzo, 166 Hillman Drive.
And your position with the community is?
I am on the Board of Recreation. I am the chair.
Just want to be, as they say, fair and balanced.
Transparent.
Transparent.
I'm going to speak on with 2 hats. One as a taxpayer first, and just an update to the council on Board of Recreation. The Recreation Commission is, again, extremely disappointed that we weren't able to meet directly with the Board of Education regarding the programs that have been absorbed and or affiliated with. This has been ongoing for almost since the beginning of the year now. I have been in contact graciously with Mrs. Balstieri over the last few weeks, trying to get down and try to settle this, and I'm going to continue doing so. As Jeff Leader so graciously said, that we should all take our differences aside and sit down and work it out for the kids, and he's absolutely 100% correct. There's no room for what's going on here. The Recreation Department has functioned in this town for a number of years and quite successfully. The Board of Education unfairly has taken a direction that is causing a lot of the pain that we are all going through right now. I think some dialogue would help this situation, and I'm going to continue to reach out to the board, and one day we will get to sit down. I don't know when that is. I hope it is soon, and I hope to have a good report back to you when that happens. There is a lot of misinformation going around. I'm not going to stand up here and reiterate everything because it's been quite ugly, and I'm sure everyone in this room is quite tired of hearing about it. But the Board of Recreation will continue to run as the Recreation Department, and will continue to offer the best for the children in this town. Now I'm going to flip around and put my hat on as a taxpayer in this town, and I'm a little concerned. I'm very concerned. There are issues that our Board of Ed is taking over or affiliating with different organizations, different groups, and it's on my dime. I've also heard from this podium tonight that about my schools or our schools. No, it's my school. It's my school. It's everyone's school. We all should be affiliated with the Board of Education. If I want to use a field or if I want to use a gymnasium, I shouldn't have to sit and pay for a janitor or pay for a proctor. I own that school. Just as everyone else in this room owns those schools. Our hard-earned tax dollars go to those buildings. We should all have use of them without a price tag, without having to affiliate. And that's what we need to do here. I'm very disappointed to know that the Junior Baseball League, who apparently is having some difficulty, had to reach out, as Mrs. Ballestieri and Mrs. Kalinowski have stated. They reached out for help. Well, there's a very viable organization in town, the Elmwood Park Little League, who's been reaching out for quite some time. Is very viable. Pays the insurance, will give the children a very good opportunity to play baseball in town. 60 towns out of 70 in Bergen County are affiliated with Little League. There's another option, rather than the taxpayer taking on the burden of paying insurance for another league when there's an organization in town that would be very willing to sit down and work it out. But that hasn't happened. And the Board of Education is a little misguided there. They could have made a direction and said, well, did you ask Little League? Can they help? Did you at least try? You don't hear that from the Board of Ed. You don't hear that from the Board of Ed on anything. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nestori? We'll get to you as soon as Mr. Nestori.
Thank you. My name is George Nestori, 2 Savo Court. I thought maybe you weren't going to pick on me.
I was waiting till later.
Just to clarify some of the issues that were going on. The last great superintendent, excellent superintendent we had in the school system was John Santini. He retired in 1985 or 86. Since that time, we had a succession of very poor leadership. That affect, I just want to be, but you can't come down on Dr. Tomko, because Dr. Tomko has turned things around in just a short period of time. Now, somebody mentioned that our rating amongst the 70 school districts in Bergen County was near the bottom. And you were able to throw that out because of the great, test points. This is the first first superintendent that has a structured system to improve education. If you walk in the school system, it's clean, it's orderly, it's calm. And he has a dress code, and he's working very well with the Board of Ed, and they're improving things. And people that I know that have kids in the school system tell me specifically that it's improved drastically. So we cannot come browbeating one of the best administrators in our town and hopefully push him out and get some weak administrator in that's going to bring us down. Remember, we get evaluated by the middle states. If our valuation goes down and our facilities are inspected by them and are rated by them, if our value goes down, our property value goes down and the town goes down. He's bringing them up. You've got to work with the school system. One of the reasons why we have an influx of so many students while other towns are dropping in population is because you never planned on the two-family, the multiple houses.
And we always have this influx of multiple houses and high rentals, and we don't have the structure to police.
Would you explain that to me, Mr.
Yeah, because we always had 50 by 100,
Yes.
two families. Finally, he came in with the 75 by 100. This took 30, 40 years this has been going on.
Because they weren't building two-family houses and tearing down the one-family houses at the time. We have done that, it's an improvement, and I think it's a very good improvement.
But it's after the horses have left the barn, you shut the door.
You know, Mr. Minister, you always find a negative when you should be finding a positive.
But I'm saying it's a positive.
Tearing down one-family houses to put up a two-family, that's when this council decided that we're going to change the ordinance, and you cannot construct a two-family on a 50 by 100. Prior to that, they weren't tearing down one-family houses, little Cape Cods and putting up two families. All of a sudden that happened, and we took immediate action. Thank you very much, council, for doing that.
No, Mr. Mayor, I've been on the zoning board until you didn't reappoint me.
You were on for 3 years, George, you didn't show up many times.
You're a liar, Mr. Mayor. You're an outright liar. If you're going to bring out lies in front of the camera, then I can tell you that you're a liar, right to your face for saying that. You didn't want me up there because you couldn't control me. That's why you don't want me.
No, I didn't want you up there.
I'm telling you right now, your people, some of your appointments on the council, on the zoning board, were willing to give,
Judge,
what do you call it?
Judge, I don't want to get into that because I know the people on the zoning board.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to get into
And
what
I was
say
there
as opposed
when
to
they
what
were
you
giving
saying.
approval. We had a one family, wait a minute, Mayor, let me talk. You talk over people because you don't want them to say what you want, you don't want them to
You say whatever you want to say, and people get annoyed with what you say.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I was on the zoning board when they came in for variance, okay? And it was up by Kip Avenue, off of Kip Avenue, there was a one-family house that was going to be knocked down, okay? They came in and they were going to put up two-family houses, okay? One was going to be on a 50 by 100, and the other one was going to be like 3,300 square feet. You had some of your people that you appointed, we're going to approve, we're going to get 4 families instead of 1 in that same lot. Okay? Thank God the majority turned it down. Okay? But I'm saying, these are the things. We can go around town and see throughout the town where your zoning board members approved of things that are really eyesores today. Okay? Right across the street here, you have a new, well, that's not new now, but you have 2 houses, one next to you, the other one was supposed to be torn down, and it never was. Okay, right here on Locust, on the corner right here.
The house that was put up over here was put up legally. The first house that was put up, that you're talking about, was put up years ago, before I was even involved, and that house was built too close to the line of the demarcation. So when the new house came up, it was put in where it was supposed to be, and it ended up only 3 feet away from the other house.
Yeah, but there's...
But that's not illegal, George. The other house was put up.
The other one was supposed to be torn down at the time.
No one said they're going to tear it down.
At the time when that was put up, it was supposed to be...
You can't go and give it up.
Well, they discussed it, and they were given variances.
They weren't given variances.
But we have 2-family houses throughout the town that we could have abated in the past, and we wouldn't have this influx.
George, you have to know the planning, George. You cannot stop a house or a district from being 2-family zone. It's called spot zoning.
I know,
What we
man.
did is we got the area, the largest area we could, with our individual who takes care of all of that, our planning. Okay?
Mayor,
He did all that,
I know
and we
that.
got the biggest thing. You're talking about stopping that would be spot zoning. Is that legal, Mr. Attorney?
I didn't tell you spot zoning, Mayor, but don't bring up a topic that I know is wrong. You don't have to have your paid counselor up there say, Mr. Mayor, you're right. What is he going to say, Mr. Mayor, you're wrong?
Absolutely.
You appointed him. Is he going to say you're wrong?
Absolutely.
Come on, don't play your games. Don't
down there
Now, listen.
yesterday. He's gonna violate his laws.
Don't let the meeting get out of hand. Let me discuss the issue.
This whole governing body, all of us right here, appointed this borough attorney.
Well, I don't care. You know, I'm just saying, he's still the mayor's, you know, he's still the council attorney.
I agree with Mr. Conlon.
Okay, very
He
good.
wants the mayor's term to last 10 years, so you don't come out of there in 4 years.
Okay, now, we have Langen's coming up with, how many units is Langen coming up with?
They approved 101.
101, is that phase one or two, is that the only phase? And how many phases is he gonna have?
2.
What's the second phase?
Second phase hasn't been approved.
Okay, see, that's the misnomer that you told the people, only 101 units.
It's gonna be 151 if it gets approved, and it was state ordered, George.
But I'm saying, if you had properly planned, we wouldn't have had that. From what I understand, Mr. Langen came in here with a Plan 1 or Plan A that was turned down, that would, you know, for whatever reason, that would not have had any children involved in our district.
Listen to the story. That is a professional law firm, POP. Was done 25 years ago by the council and myself. It was done to keep out large units like Walmart, Lowe's,
No.
Home Depot. It was done to keep out large trucking companies from coming there, and it was also done to keep out additional apartments. The state decided and brought us to court saying they want to put apartments in there. That's why we have.
Was that the first thing that Langen came in with on that property?
He has approval to put buildings in there.
I know, but did he come in with a Plan A first?
He's never been turned down.
From that was not what I understood. Now, secondly, if we're having a lot of flood problems along the river, how come he's allowed to build along the river?
Because the Environmental Protection Agency allows him to do it.
All right, now,
We have no control. Elwood Park, and this is what I understand is misrumor going out there, George. We have no control over that.
I understand.
How much he can build by the river.
I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying how come he's allowed to build there?
I have no idea.
I think that should be a question.
Senators and ask them.
All right, the second thing, where is their sewer system going to be lined up? Is it going to come into our main line?
Their sewer system, I believe, goes right out to Safetown.
It's going to be separate meter?
I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's going to be metered through us. But that's, I mean, there's only one meter coming out of the town.
Because we have to meter marked out. And that's why you were wrong when you came in and said we're getting so much sewage. As Mr. Bocino pointed out,
Mr. Bocino took the data I gave him. You guys had no clue as to the discharges going in through. For years, I've been telling you we've been infiltrated. And guess what, Mr. Mayor? I've been in touch with the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission. They tell us that there's a lot of infiltration in our system, okay? I'm still getting data. And number one, when did Markel go on to their own metering?
State ordered us to do that maybe 5-6 years ago.
What was happening before that?
They were paying.
They were paying. That's not what I understand, Mr. Mayor. They were feeding into our system and we were paying.
They were paying, and then the state ordered us to collect the money and give it to them.
They weren't paying before. I'm going to get more data. But what I understand is they were feeding into our system and we were paying for them. But I'll get more information on it and I'll have that information at the next meeting. And there is, Mr. Bocino, did you say there was 2% infiltration into the system?
No, I said that we paid 1/3. You proposed at the meeting that we paid in excess of $19 million to State Valley, Elwood Park, Borough Park. And at that meeting, I said I would look at, you brought the data to the meeting.
Right, I brought the data.
I would look at the data. I plotted the data, and I went through all our charges back at the State Valley Sewer Commission, and how I picked up was in 2008 and 2009, Mark Out had to pay directly because they were in bankruptcy, so the holding company had to pay those. And then it came back to, we pay and they reimburse us.
And they did that before they
So we only pay $1.3 million per year on average to the State Valley.
Those 2 years.
No, it's a straight line, it's
Well,
consistent year after year.
I'm getting that data from the Passaic Valley Sewage Commission for the last 10 years on what Markel been paying. Well, I'm getting mine too, okay? And we'll find out, you know, what the true facts are. And you gotta know what the precipitation, so when there's larger precipitation for the year, the numbers go up.
I plotted our volume over time from 2008 to present, and I took the average New Jersey.
So when you say present, till this past,
To the last bill we had from 2011.
what was the last bill?
I don't have
It didn't include September of this year.
No, because we just broke it.
And that's the real critical part.
I plotted the rainfall in the same period of time, and it's not correlated. Our usage, our volume goes down, and the rainfall went up. I would think if infiltration was significant from rainfall, it would be correlated. It's not. Now, I'm not a sewer engineer, I'm a mechanical engineer, but I know how to plot and interpret data, and it looks like we're barking up the wrong tree.
No, we're not barking up the wrong tree.
I beg to differ, because when you look at the breakdown of the bills, the volume charge is 15% of the whole bill.
But then it's okay if we discharge into the sewer system from our pumps in the house. He said there's no correlation. And I'm telling you there is. How can you say that, Mr. Vecino? He's just told you before that people are discharging into the sewer system.
What I was saying is, you said we realized a 25% savings. So, based on $19 million, $20 million, you were estimating, we're going to save $5 million.
I said it possibly. But we still got to do an analysis on the data.
$5 million, it's not $5 million, it's 25% of $8 million is a different number. It's $2 million.
All right, so $2 million.
It's going to pay back what, 50 years?
$2 million. How much is $2 million?
Excuse me, 1 minute, Joe. Okay, I just want to make this announcement. We only have a specific amount of time on the TV, otherwise we'll cut off. So if you have something else you want to...
Yeah, I got a few things.
Yeah, but who else would like to speak? Anybody else?
Well, let me finish with the things I have to say.
How long are you going to be? How long are you going to be?
I don't know.
He has 15
Well, you never called on me, Mr. Mayor, because purposely you kept eliminating me.
Speak, George.
All right, just let me finish.
George, I'll call
Yeah, I know you love
I know
me.
what you're going to say.
I know you love me. I love you too, Jay.
5 minutes, then I'm going to ask the next person to speak, and then if you want to get over.
Watch the person let him speak as long as he doesn't like you, he wants you to cut you off.
Yeah, you're not
Hey, enough fair. Enough is enough.
How come Mr. Di Maria, who you appointed to the Recreation Board, was talking without being interrupted, but Sandy Ballesteri was interrupted constantly? Why?
The videographer who said we had 15 minutes, you can
The
speak all you want. He's going to cut it.
Two people from the Board of Education were constantly interrupted, but your appointment to the Board of Recreation, who said what you wanted to say, was not interrupted. Why?
He says what I want him to say. He says what I want him to say.
Of course, he was appointed by you.
He says what I want him to say.
All right, you guys, you want him to come up? Let him come up, and I want to come back. I got a few things.
Yes, you can come back, and then if he cuts it off, you can talk all you want. Yes. George, we've been friends for how many years? 40 years. You were on the first council when I was elected. We ran together.
My name is Carl Roberts, 260 Washington Ave. I've been a resident of this borough for 32 years. I'm actually a protege of Allen Park High School. And I can remember growing up, always going to the rec center for day camp or whatever activities, never going to the high school. Why all of a sudden now are we going to allow the Board of Ed to start taking over? Do they try and tell everybody that they're assisting or whatever, that they need 60 college credits to actually be part of the school system?
I don't know what you mean by 60 college.
I applied once to be a coach for one of the teams, okay? And I was told I was denied because I don't have 60 college credits. I'm sorry, but if you want to coach, you should be allowed to coach. You do a background check like everybody else. But if you don't have 60 college credits, you're going to be denied. That's wrong there. Also, it's academically when you're in high school that if your grades do not approve, you are ineligible to play in any sport. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Mayor, you were a guidance counselor, correct?
Certain schools have certain requirements.
Okay. This town lost out on the state playoffs for football because a kid was ineligible. Where is that standing now with, even though it wasn't our school that had the ineligible kid, it shows that academics stays with the schools, not sports. Sports is a privilege, should not be affiliated with the school system for minors. So wrestling, basketball, or baseball should stay with the rec department, not with the school. If you want to play school for the sport, for the high school, be a high school student, not an elementary school kid. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Is there anyone else before we have judges? Mr. Macaluso.
That's okay. Charlie Macaluso on 18th Avenue. I just want to find out, I brought this up once before. I'd like to know if the school, the Board of Education, goes after out-of-town kids. Because I know for a fact, I can't prove it now because the man is not living. But he used to be working for the school system as a truant officer, and he told me when he gets any kids from out of town, the school will do nothing to them because they don't want to take them to court. They don't want to take the parents to court. Where other towns take the parents to court and make them pay so much money for the amount of years those kids are in school.
John, I cannot answer that question. It's up to the school board. You have the president of the school board members here after the meeting. You can ask them.
I just want to know if they changed the policy with this new guy or not, that's all.
I would suspect that they find somebody at the school who doesn't live in town, they would remove that student. I would hope that's the case.
Oh, I did too. All right, thank you.
Glenn Pitagano, 34 Phillip Ave, Elmwood Park. I'm the president of the East Patterson Elmwood Park Alumni Association, and I'm also running for mayor. I just want everyone to understand that our 66th ranking in Bergen County is not quite as bad as everyone claims it to be. Bergen County is at the top in the nation as far as public schools. And to be 66th in the top isn't so bad. So I want everyone to understand that our school does give a good education, okay? And I also want to say that I feel the shared services that we are all arguing about, I think it's a very good idea. And I agree with a couple gentlemen that we should work together. I am very disappointed.
Do you have any suggestions how we can work together?
Well, we should maybe have a mediator, someone who is outside of both, to get everyone together, where we seem to be clashing, and directly clashing, when maybe we can put somebody in the middle that can help bring this to fruition. Also, the redundancy of services in town. This all started probably about 10 years ago, I forget, whenever the Little League was started. Why we have 2 Little Leagues, I don't understand. I never understood it. I don't know what it brings.
Yeah, I just make a comment on that.
Sure.
Little League is not affiliated with our recreation. They're outside and separate.
Oh.
JBL is outside and separate. So that if you have a third league that wants to come in outside and separate, we can't do anything about it.
But it's still redundant. We still have to choose.
Absolutely, but
Right.
there's no way that the Board of Recreation was involved with the Little League coming in or the Junior Baseball League, JBL. They are not funded by recreation.
But they're controlled. They don't they control the fields?
No,
and they
The fields
coordinate.
have to apply to the fields, yes.
And they coordinate together with
But
the rec.
they run their own ship, they run their own budget, they have their own members, they have their own president, and they fund themselves.
So there would be no problem if I wanted to start a third league in this town?
I would hope you wouldn't.
Well, then why?
There's no way- there's no
I
way-
was hoping nobody would start a second
There's no way
one.
this council could say you can't start another league if they wanted to start another league.
Well, they did have to get approval, from what I understood.
They didn't get approval from the council to start a league.
Well, they got approval from one of the councilmen. I believe it was Mr. Coletti.
He got approval?
No, he didn't give approval. They went to him and asked him to help get this started. And he thought that he would, you don't remember? Of course. In any case, what I'm
say that the individual he's pointing to is Robert Coletti, who is running for council this year. So now we've digressed into a political debate.
Mayor, you asked me who it was.
I thought you meant a councilman here. I didn't mean Mr. Coletti.
Well, whether or not you meant, we're talking a councilman, an ex-councilman. I'm sorry, I'm not personally attacking him at this moment. I did not bring him into this.
The only person who is not a former is my good friend Larry Castiglia, who was a Marine in Vietnam and served in Vietnam. And Mr. Castiglia was not a former Marine. Mr. Castiglia and everybody else in the Marines are Marines. They're never former. He is a former councilman and will always be a former councilman until he gets elected, he's back up here.
Correct.
But when you said a councilman gave approval, I thought you were talking about one of our councilmen.
Oh, I'm very sorry, I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, that was 10 years ago. That's why I don't think anybody, any of these gentlemen, except you and Mr. Caramagna were on the council at that time, so.
And he cannot give approval. He could say, yes, you can do it, but he cannot give approval.
Correct. He had to come to all of you and find out whether or not it was feasible and viable. And what I am trying to say is redundancy is not always a good thing, and it's pulling our town apart, just like the gentleman said before. We have two factions in this town. One is fighting the other. Unfortunately, like I said, if we can have a mediator between the two groups, maybe that would help.
That might help if you can get a mediator, but when we have a summer recreation program, and we wanted to continue our summer recreation program, and the school board decided they were going to have one, it should have been a situation where, as Mr. Conboy indicated earlier, we'll take your kids if they're going to summer school in the morning, we'll charge them half the amount of money and bus them right back down and have them down here. Why start a whole new summer recreation program? It was unnecessary.
I'm not saying he was right. I'm just saying redundancy seems to be happening a lot around here. And I think it's very counterproductive that we are fighting each other and starting new groups and it's not helping. We all talk about helping the children.
We're not starting new groups.
Well,
We haven't started.
we have, correct, you have not. The Board of Education has, and we have other gentlemen here who have started other entities that fight each other. And that is what we are talking about as far as the community. The community is being pulled apart by these redundant programs.
If they would all, if I can make a suggestion, if they would all take those redundancies, all those new groups, and pull them back to where they were originally solved from.
Well, then we need to get together and...
I'm asking to that. If the Board of Education wants to send 3 people over so you don't have any violations of the law, sunshine law, or any of that, this council, 3 members, consult the 3 members, and you can find out without me being there, the clerk being there, the attorney being there, the superintendent, the administrator, just 6 councilmen and board members.
Well, it only takes 2 people for a fight, so I don't know. Maybe we just need 1 person between if it's only 2 people. It doesn't...
Can I interrupt you 1 second? When we started Little League, We send letters every year to EPJBO. Let's sit down, have a talk. We weren't deciding to run a Little League or Calvert or whatever. Let's sit down and talk. 5 years, no, absolutely not. We've reached out.
I'm sorry.
Now, this year again.
Maybe there was a
we
big
sent-
problem that they could not deal.
Well, we tried again this year. They have our own report. They're all young guys, you know. We were getting along. We worked out schedules, all stuff. It seemed like everything was, we all agreed at the beginning of the year, let's meet at the end of the year, see if we can get one league now. I said, great. 3 emails. No, not even response, no thank you, nothing.
Well, I get, there's a lot of hard, there's a lot of bad feelings, that's probably
We reached
why.
out, we never got one response.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, enough about the JV and the Little League. What I'm most concerned about is that our school system is always being talked down. And we have to look at it with open eyes and understand that where we're coming from. And we're coming from a county that is #1 in the country. And let's put our school in perspective here, okay? That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a former educator for 39 years, let me just also indicate that there are 70 school districts, and we're on the bottom of the 70 school districts. That says something too. Not going down to Camden or some other areas that may have worse school systems or worse problems.
I'm
So
talking
it's
the
up
whole
to the
country.
school system, and I try to stay out of the problems with the school system. We have people who are elected to the school system. They're elected board members. They control it. And since you're my opponent this year, I just want to give you some information that you fortunately never used because you're not victorious. But I get hit all the time. Taxes made, taxes made, taxes made. It means nothing to them when I say 60-some-odd% of the tax bill is controlled by an elected board of education. Not me. 10% by the county. Not me. They don't want to hear that. They think the mayor is the official tax collector. Now, what we could do is maybe Mr. Casmark at the next meeting, when we pay our bills, can indicate that we're paying $1 million to the school board. Next meeting, $2 million. We have to pay that every month. We have to give them, or such 3 months, we have to give them that kind of money. We're just a tax collector. I understand New York has even a better system than we have. They actually pay the bill to the school. Is that correct?
Yes.
I think that's great. Let them know who's getting it. That doesn't mean the board doesn't deserve to get paid. I was an educator 39 years. I wanted to get paid. Just let the people know where the money's going. That is the important thing. And you know, we have to run the police department, we have DPW, etc. And we need a certain amount of money.
Well, this is why I started the East Patterson Elmwood Park alumni, because I am a taxpayer in town, and I do not want to see my taxes go up. But I do want to see an improved school and an improved school system, improved grades and athletics. And well, this is...
It's irrefutable. We do not.
Right.
We do not want to see taxes go up. But unfortunately,
But if all our
then
groups
the
can...
taxes are the only things that continue.
We just need our groups to work together. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm hoping we can get a mediator, maybe get the groups together and start going forward. Thank you.
That's good. So you can arrange a meeting with the school board elected officials. If you can arrange a meeting with the school board elected officials, they're here, with elected officials here around the board of attorney, and the rec department, we're all together saying, if you have to advertise in the public wants to be there, so be it. Open. All right?
Got it.
No problem. I stand right here, we'll read this right here. All.
Okay. Very good.
Without our attorney, our clerk will have to advertise to get something, well, so be it.
I've been here 55 years. I just want, well, that's your fault for being older than me. I would just like to see a community and a group of people working together.
No, absolutely.
I know, and I know we're all on the same page.
For somebody to say evaluating Mr. Tom, I commend what he did in his first year. I commend him, just like I did on the library board. But there are legitimate questions that could be answered as far as spending $6 million on a special needs / administration building.
I'm not going there.
No, you should go there because you should be part of this, because you're running, and you might be done with this if you become mayor.
Oh,
Okay,
you
now,
know, I got my
that
ideas, I got a
special
whole
administration
plan for
building, you want
that.
to make more room in that special needs building? Leave the administration building at 60, now you'll have double the size, you can take double the kids in. You've got 89 kids, you could say, you're going to take 30 minutes to work with that building, because your administration offices, that we spent $44 million in that other referendum in 2003, paying at $2.2 million a year, and refurnish that administration building and put it over 60 down. Now, if you leave it alone, where it is, go home, doesn't cost you nothing. You could double the size of the special needs building.
I wasn't going to go there tonight,
But these are
but,
legitimate questions that we can ask.
okay.
Not just to be here. Here's what we're going to do. And it's propaganda report, I call it, because it's got a lot of just, there's bad gym for it. Fix the gym. How much is it going to cost? Fix this. Okay, it's going to cost $6 million for the fields. Instead of actual turf, why don't you repair a turf field? Move the track over, get rid of your stuff. Legitimate question that we should ask. And that's the spirit of good debate.
Exactly.
And that's what it should be.
Exactly.
But it shouldn't be just our mayor or your superintendent or your business administrator. You're the elected officials. These are the ones that make the decision. These elected board members, they should all be present.
I'm
Whether they
just,
say
I'm just making a recommendation.
well, put it together. We're here.
I'd be happy. Thank you.
Mayor, real fast, I just want to say one thing, because I think it's, I know, since I'm like the big grandstand here, according to everybody, you know, Glenn, you were a great volunteer in the community, and I hope you stick around in that area, but to be fair, and I see you talking to Mr. Coletti, but to be fair, actually, Mr. Coletti wasn't even on the rec committee at the time, and Mr. Coletti actually, if you go back and let's go to the video, Katie, I came to many of these meetings furious I couldn't even get answers about what was going on with the baseball leagues. The council at that time just kept putting me back to the rec board, and that's where we went. And when Little League, before Little League launched, they went in front of the rec board with a plan, and they asked if they hold registrations, they bring one of the world's #1 youth sport programs here. Could they bring it here? #1 youth sports program on the planet. And the rec board at the time, Phil Moriarty was the chairman, said, you can hold your registration, and if you, I'm going to have over here, if you get registration and you get kids, we will give you field time. And that's exactly what happened. Mr. Clay,
It won't make a difference.
I got, you know,
May I just indicate that to anybody watching this tape, again, you can see this, we have less than 1 minute to go. You can watch it on Tuesday, 12 noon, Thursday, 4 p.m., and Friday, 11 a.m. So if you're here and you want to watch that on TV and see yourself, you can do it at that time. I'm going to close the meeting to the tape at this point, and this is...
You won again, Mr. Mayor, by
prolonging
the gerrymandering and everything.
I'm not closing the meeting.
All right, I got a few points. I want to say, let the public hear it. #1, I think it's a state law of 60 credits to be a coach, just to let them know. That's #2. Our school system. Okay, he says he can't put it on anymore. The second thing is we are one of the lowest per capita, amount of money paid per capita on our students in the county. And this is because of our budgets always being knocked down, our capital improvements being knocked down, and the mayor, like you said, 3 years ago, it was 800 or whatever, 800. Who was the superintendent then? See, this is the problem. We did not have good superintendents from 85